Hello and welcome to the Katie Halper Show. Thank you so much for joining us for this special daytime stream. We are really thrilled to be bringing back onto the show a very special guest, Dr. Mohammad Marandi. And he is someone who provides such important insight and testimony and analysis, and just also witness as someone who's in Iran right now about what is happening, about what the impact of this war on Iran is, and also though the spirit of the people there. And so without any further ado, got to remind everyone to hit the thumbs up button, like the stream, subscribe by hitting subscribe, and then the bell. We are almost at 450,000 likes, subscribers. So we're definitely going to want to get to that number. But so much more importantly, obviously, is our interview. And the reason we do the like and the subscribe is to help get the word out there so that people can see interviews like this and share this on social media and support the show at patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show. Okay, bringing on Dr. Marandi. Hello, Dr. Marandi. How are you?
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Probably one of the hardest working men in media. I appreciate how much you come on the shows, but I also think that in some ways it's a political act, right? To be doing so much media, given the vilification of Iran and the Iranian people.
Yeah, it's not something that I enjoy doing. I mean, I'm very glad to be on your show, but it's not something that I often like doing. So, for example, when I go on mainstream media or when I'm on with Pierce Morgan or someone like that, it's not as if I take pleasure in it, but you feel just like yourself. I mean, you feel like it's something you just have to do.
Right.
But sometimes you feel it's a burden. Sometimes less so. It depends. It
Right.
depends. During war, it was very difficult because sometimes I was doing many hours a day,
Right.
and under those circumstances, you're worried about family and friends,
Right.
and yet there you had different concerns, and then but you had to. I felt I had to do this because Iran is so vilified and because Western mainstream media is um so so controlled.
Right.
I do less mainstream media now. When they invite me, I usually don't accept.
Yeah. Well, we are obviously so grateful for your participation, and
Yeah,
you
thank
know,
you.
I have some questions for you, but I think maybe to start off, you could just update us on where we are right now. Obviously, things are moving quickly. Thursday, the U.S. bombed parts of Iran again. Iran responded, which of course, CENTCOM presented as unprovoked. The response from Iran, which is of course part of the formula. So what is your view of the situation from Iran, and what are the consequences going to be, in your opinion, and what's the atmosphere like there right now?
Yeah, the people at CENTCOM apparently don't have a very good memory. They don't recall that they struck two tankers and the Iranians retaliated. And last night there was a major firefight. The Iranians uh, have did strike American ships, but they struck them with drones. They didn't want to sink them, but they wanted to frighten them and to cause some limited damage.
Can you just
Because
clarify? Because I'm not a military analyst. So when you say they struck them with drones, as opposed to
like trying to sink them with missiles,
missiles,
or
okay, right, yeah,
to hit them uh with like large numbers of drones
got it,
and cause
right,
severe damage.
right,
So they wanted to create fear, but also to do some damage. and apparently the American ships were damaged. The Americans today have shot at 2 Iranian tankers going towards Iran, and badly damaged them apparently. And the Iranians, from my understanding, have also struck the Emirates today.
Right.
Or at least that's what I hear. I hear that there have been explosions there. So there is no ceasefire. And the reason is that after the 39-day war, there was supposed to be a ceasefire because Trump, at the end of the war, accepted Iran's 10-point plan as the framework for discussions. At the beginning of the war, he wanted unconditional surrender, and then ultimately things weren't going well, so he had to accept Iran's 10-point plan. And but as usual, he hasn't shown good faith, and there was a ceasefire agreement that was agreed upon before the discussions on peace and the 10-point plan. But Netanyahu, you recall, began carpet bombing cities in Lebanon. He killed hundreds of people within minutes, and he even bombed neighborhoods that weren't even close to the resistance. But he just wanted to, through slaughtering ordinary people, he wanted to wreck the ceasefire between Iran and the United States. And Trump, instead of putting pressure on him, he said, well, Lebanon is, he echoed what Netanyahu was saying and said that Lebanon was not a part of the ceasefire, when in fact it was, and the Pakistani mediators said that it was. So because of that, the ceasefire deal was not implemented. If you recall, Iran was supposed to allow ships from the 5 countries that assisted the United States in the war, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, the Emirates, and Saudi Arabia, to allow them to go through the strait. Because the Iranians never closed the Strait of Hormuz. They only closed it to ships that are linked to those countries that were hostile towards Iran. But in the ceasefire agreement,
you never know that from the media. I'm sorry. I mean, you never know that from the media or a politician where it's closed. But I'm sorry.
Exactly. Otherwise, like Chinese ships or Russian ships or ships linked to countries that have not had hostility towards Iran, they've been passing through Pakistan, India, and so on. So, so Netanyahu blocked the ceasefire, and so Iran continued to prevent those ships from going through. And then when Netanyahu was forced to accept the ceasefire after 10 days, of course, subsequently he began slaughtering Lebanese civilians again and citizens again, and he continues to do so both in Lebanon and in Gaza every day. But when he did accept the ceasefire briefly, Iran said it will allow those ships to go through, and then Trump, who had just a couple of days earlier, imposed a siege on Iranian ports, refused to lift that siege, and that siege is a violation of the ceasefire agreement, and it's also an act of war. So because of that, the Iranians continue to refrain from allowing these ships to pass through. So for weeks now, since the fighting has stopped, we have not seen these ships go through, and the global economic situation is becoming increasingly dangerous.
Right.
But yesterday, the United States began during the last 2-3 days, the United States began an assault where they say they're going to Project Freedom, I think, where they're going to force Iran to let the ships from those 5 countries through the strait, and that failed. And again, last night they carried out an assault on 2 tankers, and then there was firefighting between Iran and U.S. Navy, and again, that ended. And right now, as you and I are speaking, there are clashes going on in the near the Strait of Hormuz between Iran and the United States.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for that update. And it's pretty infuriating because all this death and destruction could, of course, be avoided. But we have as you call it, the Epstein class, which is controlling the foreign policy. and you know, this is another discussion, but when I say the Epstein class, I don't just mean Israel, and I don't just mean Jewish Zionists, because there is, as we've discussed, you know, there's obviously a huge Christian Zionist lobby as well. And we see that, you mean, people who are members of the administration. Luckily, it's a very diverse coalition. So you have like the Witkoffs and the Kushners, but then of course you have the Huckabees and the Hegseths. But also you do have.
Don't worry. I mean, there's equal opportunity in if you've seen some of the Epstein files, and so have I. There are people in these regimes in the Persian Gulf, especially in the Emirates, and
Dr. Marandi froze right when he was talking about Epstein.
But in other, they too are in the Epstein files. So the Epstein, it's in these Arab regimes that assisted the United States against Iran.
Oh,
they
right.
are very much alive and well.
Yes, right. It's a holy trinity of participation of Zionism. Yeah. And also, you know, there's of course the arms industry in the United States. So all these lobbying forces and forces that are making that comprise the policy that does not reflect the interests of the American people. And something that, you know, you distinguish between, and I mean, I was in Cuba and I hear this all the time, you know, the people in these countries who are living under the sanctions and warfare of the United States do distinguish between the American people and the government, which is something that the West could be better about. I mean, the media, the Western media and Western politicians are terrible about it, but, you know, again, because of the vilification, I think that people just kind of have such a monolithic view of people, you know, the Iranians, the Cubans, the Venezuelans. So, again, it's just really grateful for your voice. And I guess I keep saying that because I am, but also because I feel so bad that you are so that you need to be doing these many appearances. But again, grateful. I just wish for your health and well-being. You didn't have to. And by the way, sorry to even say this, but we are not even at half the number of likes. And I know not half of you are hate watching. So please do hit the like. I know that you are happy to be here. I just haven't trained you enough. We are at over 2,000 viewers, which is great. But we got to get, guys, we're at 2,361 viewers. And we're not even at 1,000. So you better, by the time that Professor Marandi responds to the next question, you really got to do it. All right. So I actually wanted to play a video of Donald Trump. Sorry about that, everyone. But I did want to play a video of Donald Trump. And then I also wanted to show your response to said video. So let me just open this up.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And Brad could not join today. So, I mean, he may join later. Not his fault. Extremely hardworking, dedicated, Brad. But because of that, I'll be controlling it. So sorry for the delays. Okay. But also thrilled that now Dr. Marandi is able to use the app that we use. And so you can actually see me and see the clips we're playing. Okay. So here is Trump being, this is from, one second. Here is Trump making some really interesting comments Thursday evening at like a brief press conference. And he's asked about whether or not the ceasefire is still in place. So, okay, we're going to play that right now.
President, after these strikes, is the ceasefire with Iran still on?
Yeah, it is. They trifled with us today. We blew them away. They trifled. I call that a trifle. I'll let you know when there's no ceasefire. You won't have to know. If there's no ceasefire, you're not going to have to know. You're just going to have to look at one big glow coming out of Iran. And they better sign their agreement fast.
Yes. Could you give us an update on what is the latest in those talks?
No, the talks are going very well, but they have to understand if it doesn't get signed, they're going to have a lot of pain. They're going to have a lot of pain. They want to sign it. I will tell you. They want to sign it a lot more than I do.
What was the president for after?
Okay, so in addition to that commentary, which is interesting, I guess he thinks that he learned a new word, even though he hasn't necessarily. I don't think he understands what trifling means. You said Trump was badly defeated last night. So please respond to that video and also elaborate on your tweet about it.
Well, in the operation that, in general, the operation that they've been carrying out over the last 3 days, they haven't succeeded in getting through any one of those tankers or ships that they were saying they're going to get through the strait. Initially, they spoke about 2 tankers, but they've never shown any evidence of 2 ships getting through, but they haven't provided any evidence of any ships going through. And so, despite all the firefights and the fighting in the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf and in the Gulf of Oman, he's failed at all levels. And also, his ships, the naval ships, were struck by Iranian drones, causing damage, but just enough damage to tell them that they can strike their ships. So, and I think that this response of his sort of reflects the fact that he's not terribly happy about the situation. And again, making these threats of, or what was it, an orange glow across Iran.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could, yeah. But you know what, we've been hearing him say that for many months now, that Iran is begging to have a deal, that Iran's leaders are all dead, there's no one to talk to, but they're desperate to have a deal. I'm not desperate. I mean, it's like a broken record. But what I do find disturbing is that, you know, ever since Trump has been using these genocidal language, and this orange glow is, you know, makes you think about what his intent, what he actually meant. It makes you wonder. But when he spoke about annihilating Iran, obliterating Iran, and then sending Iran back to the Stone Age, or wiping Iran off the map, or more recently, I said something else. I don't remember what it was, but something more or less the same. Talking about exterminating the Iranian people, as they've been doing in Gaza and in Lebanon, the Israeli regime. But you don't see any pushback from the Western media. You don't see headlines in the Guardian or even those who are supposedly critical of Trump himself, you know, in outrage, you know, threatening a Holocaust, threatening the greatest Holocaust of all time or in human history. Nothing like that. And those journalists, you know, many of them have millions of followers, the major names, or at least tens of thousands of followers, hundreds of thousands of followers, millions of followers. None of them are outraged. None of them are, you know, screaming that, you know, he's threatening to carry out the greatest crime against humanity in human history. And that indifference, I think, again goes back to the fact that these are all employees of that Epstein class that you were alluding to. That these people, I mean, just like in Lebanon, I know you have some of our mutual friends are Lebanese, and you've had them on your show. They're slaughtering people in Lebanon. They're targeting medics. They're targeting hospitals. They're targeting ambulances. But Western media is indifferent. They try to distract attention away from Lebanon. And if you, sorry when I say if you recall, I know you recall, but in Gaza, their excuse was that, well, we don't have a presence there, and we can't verify. In Lebanon, Western media has more presence. They have more presence in Beirut than they have in any Arab country, out in West Asia or North Africa.
Right.
They have a full presence, and they know exactly what's happening because these journalists, many of them have fixers, they have drivers, they have producers, and it's not a big country. So they know that there's carpet bombing. They know that they're targeting ordinary people, but they use phrases like Hezbollah strongholds or Hezbollah targets. in order to legitimize or justify the slaughter of civilians. So it doesn't matter if Western media is present as in Lebanon or absent as in Gaza, because they'll still do the bidding of their Zionist overlords. That is the reality that we're living in. And so I think the important thing is that for ordinary people in the West, really to discontinue using Western media and just go and seek their information from reliable alternative media sources. Not all alternative media. A lot of the alternative media is owned by these very same people. But that's one reason. That's the main reason, if not the only reason, probably the only reason why I usually don't accept going on mainstream media anymore, unless it's live. If
Right.
it's live, if I have the time, I'll. But if it's not live, I don't go. But even if it's live, I'll pick and choose. If I have something, if I have something like if I have your show or and that, and I have to choose one, I definitely say no. I can't go on mainstream media. I'll go on your show because I prefer going on alternative media because I think all of us have a responsibility to strengthen alternative media and to weaken legacy media.
Right. Yeah. And this is such an important, and thank you for that endorsement. The Katie Halper Show, better than Pierce Morgan.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
Please, everyone, like the show.
Thank you. Yes, I got Dr. Marandi on board with the social media project. So it's really important point that you make, which is, and I haven't actually heard this made elsewhere, which is that with Gaza you have I don't want to say the excuse, but you can even pretend or try to make the excuse of, oh well, we're not let in, we the media are not let in, so perhaps that's why there's not the kind of firsthand witnessing that would cause the justified and required outrage in response to what's happening. Or they can say, oh, well, we can't really report on it because we don't know, we're not on the ground. But as you say, in the case of Lebanon, there is not that excuse. There is not that possibility of explanation. And so you have this kind of controlled experiment where no, that just the media, Western media, is not outraged and is not up in arms and is not doing anything to stop an active genocide, active warfare, active crime campaign of crimes against humanity. So it is, and I can tell. I mean, I've seen you. You're a very calm, collected person, and I can tell the difference, though. And this is not a criticism, but it's if I can say so, I can see the effect of this on you over time, and it seems like you're increasingly incredulous about the media. And I that's totally understandable, because as time goes on, watching them do this more and more, watching them ignore genocide and active genocide, watching them ignore or misrepresent Iran's response as unprovoked. I mean, it's infuriating for me, and I'm not there.
Over the last few weeks, 2 reporters in Beirut from like mainstream media, Western media, contacted me. It's not a soundbite, I guess, because the exchanges were typed. They were like on, they were typed exchanges. I don't know for article, whatever.
Right.
And I told both of them separately that you use Hezbollah stronghold and Hezbollah targets in your articles, and that's immoral. And both of them, and I actually didn't. I wasn't reading their articles, but I was wondering. I wanted to see what their response would be. And both of them said, no, we don't put these things in our. Both of them said the same thing, literally, that the editor does this.
Right.
And I responded to. So that's how I found out that my guess was correct. And
Right.
then I said, well, that doesn't justify what you do, and it's in your name. So you are complicit in war crimes, and you are assisting in crimes against humanity, because you are misleading your readership, even if it's not you that's doing it, it's your editor, and you
Right.
won't stand up uh, and uh, and protest because of your paycheck or whatever, because of your reputation as a journalist, so that tomorrow you can get another job at some other media outlet. And that's the reality that they I think they try to deflect, but there's no excuse. They're all complicit in. Uh, I may have said this to you. I've said this on a. I've said this on a couple of shows, but this was when Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah was martyred. I was in Beirut, and I there was a tour of the down of Dahia in downtown Beirut, where the Israelis were bombing apartment blocks and destroying uh, thousands of homes. And I went and participated in that. And the head of Hezbollah media was in charge, and they murdered him a couple of days later. I knew him, but from a bit, but they murdered him later. Uh, in that, while we were on like going around Dahia, one of the journalists from mainstream media, from legacy media, came up to me and started complimenting me. And then he or she said that I am not like the others. You've probably seen this person, so I'll just put it like this. I mean, I have seen that. I've known that person from. I've seen him or her.
Right.
I've ruined it halfway. It's him, yeah.
Yeah.
So I keep. It's a good thing I don't know any secrets. So so he kept saying I'm different from the others, and that just shows that even within legacy media, there's this understanding, I believe, that that there's something deeply, deeply wrong. So he wants to tell me that look, I'm disgusted. What he was basically saying is I'm disgusted with all that,
Right.
and don't think that I'm like the others.
Right.
Um, but and I don't know, maybe he does his own resistance or whatever. But in any case, those journalists who just say, well, there's nothing I can do about it, and I have to, I have to. If it's not me, it'll be someone else. These are not valid
Right.
excuses.
Right. Yeah, it reminds me of that guy from Brooklyn who moved to
That's right.
right, is Jacob, I think, and a woman is complaining that he's literally occupying her home, and he's like, "Well, if it wasn't me, it would be someone else," which is true, but that doesn't make it right. I mean, think about how
That's
many
right.
things you could say that about. You don't have to be participating or one of those people. I wanted to ask you. There's some interesting things happening. Let's see. So this week, the Democrats were busy writing letters, and this does include a letter signed by 30 Democrats, led by Congressman Joaquin Castro of Texas, demanding to know more about Israel's nuclear program. There was also a letter from 12 Senate Democrats to the U.S. Central Command of War, asking to know more about the U.S.'s coordination with Israel's evacuation zones in Lebanon and Iran and its legal implications. So, what are your thoughts about these efforts?
Well, I should be asking you because I know that you follow U.S. politics closely and you know these things much better than I. So I'll refrain from saying too much. What I can say is that although I don't have any confidence at all in the Senate or the House or the political establishment in the United States, but it is, I think, to a degree reflective of something much bigger that's happening across the world and in the United States. And that is young people and increasingly older people are turning against Zionism and against the Israeli regime. And the more the Zionist regime carries out these atrocities in Lebanon and Gaza and continues with the genocide, the more entrenched those views become, and they become permanent, especially with the vicious, the way in which they've done this so openly.
Right.
So the mood has changed, and there have been a number of Indian journalists in Tehran recently and I met with them separately uh, by coincidence, I guess. I mean, not all of them came together, but it happened that they were all here last week. And in my different conversations with these journalists, they've been saying that India initially, there was the majority supported the Israeli regime. And of course, Modi, the prime minister, he just recently went to Israel and gave Netanyahu his full support, despite the genocide and the ongoing genocide. But all of these journalists, without all of those who I spoke with about this topic, every single one was saying that the mood in India has changed,
Hmm.
and the dislike towards both the Israeli regime and Trump has increased a lot.
Right.
And it's my understanding from what they were saying is that the majority now think very differently. And so if the Israeli regime has lost India, in relative terms, then I think it's clear where they stand across the world. So the changes that are taking place in the United States are reflected slightly, I guess, in Congress. But I think that still unless people bring about real change uh, from within broader civil society, that there's no hope
Right.
for real change. But of course, and I have no opinion on the mayor of New York at all. I don't know him. I don't follow anything that he does. But the fact that so many young Jews voted for him,
Right.
and I think indicates that there is hope for change at some point. And also, I saw a Jewish. I didn't write down his name foolishly, but a Jewish academic from I think from Harvard, and he was talking about anti-Semitism, and he was saying how that it was clear that he did not accept the Zionist position.
Right.
And he was saying, if I recall correctly, that like the age group of 18 to 29 or something like that, or 17 to 28 or something like that, uh, of young Jews in the United States, the majority of them, if I may be wrong, but now consider themselves to be anti-Zionist. So how can that be anti-Semitic? Now I may be wrong with the numbers. I recall watching him. I was like I was just watching YouTube, and then I saw
Right.
this short clip, and then I moved on, and then later on I said, oh, I wish I'd
Yeah.
uh, focused on that or kept that. But in any case, I think it's in general. I mean, maybe I'm not remembering correctly, but the mood is changing
Yes.
across the United States, and I think that's very important because without the United States, this Israeli regime is nothing.
Right.
Their ability to kill is only because of handouts that they get from the West, especially the United States. Their ability to have high tech industries is only because the United States plants them there. It's not because of anything else. I mean, if the United States and the Europeans, but the United States in particular, pulled the plug, if they just said, okay, we're not going to give you any more aid, direct or indirect, it wouldn't last more than a few months at most.
Right.
In some respects, it wouldn't last more than a couple of weeks. So I think that is big, that is huge, and it just shows that just like you were saying, the Epstein class is not Jewish. It's Christian or
Right.
supposedly
It's
Christian,
it's
supposedly Jewish.
multi-religious. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's not. It's actually and I added Muslim, but it's
Yeah.
not Muslim. It's not Jewish and it's not Christian.
Right.
It's anti any religion.
Right.
But you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
your audience knows.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the point is that they're not in good shape, and the world is changing, and I think that the more they kill, and although it disturbs me every day to wake up in the morning and see new images of from Lebanon and Gaza. But the more they kill, I think the more they're pushing the regime towards
Right.
towards its demise.
Yes. I mean, yes, inshallah, that does happen. And of course, remember that despite what people say, that does not mean killing all the people who live there. You don't say that. I'm saying,
No,
I'm just, of course, I know. I mean, again, this is for people in case
like
they're
South
watching.
Africa. Like
Exactly,
South
right.
Africa.
Exactly. Like South Africa, a regime falls.
Yeah.
And that is what people are demanding. Equal rights. Imagine that for people, regardless of their religious or ethnic background. So I actually wanted to show you something, though, given the way that Iran is always accused of working on a nuclear weapon, and given the way that we actually know more or less, and different Israeli politicians and journalists have admitted this, that the place that has a nuclear weapon is Israel. I want to show you a clip of Van Jones, who's basically become a spokesperson for the Trump regime. I mean, it's incredible. This is someone who used to present himself as progressive. I want to show you his response to Abby Phillips, who's on CNN, and she is presenting the demand for more transparency when it comes to nuclear weapons. So let's take a look at this. Okay, and this it refers to the Joaquin Castro letter that I asked about earlier. Okay.
So here are some of the questions that Joaquin Castro is posing on this issue. Maybe this might answer some of your questions. What nuclear weapons capability does Israel have? Has the administration received any assurances from Israel that nuclear weapons will not be used? Has Israel communicated to the United States any nuclear doctrine, any red lines or thresholds for nuclear use in the context of the current conflict with Iran? Has the administration assessed what circumstances could lead Israel to consider nuclear use? What contingency planning has the administration conducted for such a scenario? I mean, we do. Look.
Is there? I'm asking an honest question. Why? I mean, has there been some rumor that says that Israel is going to nuke Iran?
Here's the thing. I guess the question is again, now there's been a change of status quo. Mm-hmm. There's a war between the United States, Israel, and Iran that is going on right now in the Middle East. And under those circumstances, that is actually different from what we've been experiencing for the last, 40, 50 years. And so under those circumstances, there's only one power in the Middle East that has a nuke, and it's Israel. And so the question is, what are the circumstances? What are the boundaries? Are there any boundaries? They don't acknowledge that they have them. People know that they do, but are there any boundaries? I think that seems like a fair question to ask.
I'm assuming that they're in executive session.
Why? Okay, so I just thought that was kind of a stunning clip. What's your reaction to that?
Well, first, I mean, I can't say for certain. In his case, I'm pretty certain. But when someone says, this is like an honest question, usually means it's not very, it's not a very honest question.
Right, exactly. Right. When Van Jones is like, this is an honest question, I'm not being rhetorical. Or yeah, exactly. Why do you even have to have that disclaimer that's an honest question, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I guess I think that's probably correct. The fact is that when Trump can say that he's going to exterminate the Iranian people, that there will be exterminate is my term.
Right.
When he says about an orange
wipe out a civilization, glow, he says that.
Wipe out a civilization, take them back to the Stone Age or obliterate the country. Right. Then I think and when there's no reaction in the West, in Western media, and people like himself who would never protest or be outraged by this sort of language, because even if it's not true, right? Even if he's not serious, and we don't know because he's not completely sane and he's a psychopath. But let's say someone said, some like Al Qaeda leader, of course, Al Qaeda is a tool of the West, and my views on 9/11 have evolved, and I think that they were a controlled group that carried out an operation for reasons that later became clear when Wesley Clark said 7 countries in 5 years. I think that's where we should be looking when we are thinking about 9/11. I didn't think of it this way for like, I don't know, 10 years, more than 10 years. But yeah, for at least 10 years, I thought it was more than 10 years, like, or maybe almost 20 years. That 9/11 was just these crazy Wahhabis that the West created, and they lost control of them, and this happened. But let's say that some crazed person or organization said that we've planted a bomb in New York, a nuclear weapon somewhere, and we're going to blow it up. Even if it's a lie, right? People, at least a segment of New York society, families, mothers, kids, they're going to be terrified. Even if they're not terrified enough to leave New York or they have nowhere to go, but they're thinking about what if something happens. That's terrorism. You know, that's what terrorism is. Just like the Israelis when they bomb from the air, that's just as much terrorism as when someone explodes a bomb in some street corner. This is another form of terrorism where people live in fear, and so for them, it seems like why should Israel, the Israeli regime, give us that sort of information? Why? Because they want the Israeli regime to have its to be capable of doing whatever it needs to do, and that is as it is carrying out genocide. So it's not. I'm not saying that these people are saying that the Israeli regime should use a nuclear weapon. What I'm saying is that they're saying that they should have maximum leeway to do what it is that they're doing, and that is basically slaughtering kids, slaughtering families every day in Lebanon and Gaza, and during the 2 wars that they and the United States imposed on Iran, and of course in Syria when they supported ISIS and Al Qaeda and so on. So it just shows the mentality of these people, and it's even more disturbing when like an African American says it, or a Jew says it, or a Muslim, anyone who like has experienced or who in the past has experienced injustice, from wherever, and whether from inside the United States or out. I mean even Obama, he's not African American in the sense that if I'm not mistaken, that his father was not from the United States, so he wasn't a descendant of slaves. But Kenya was also part of the British Empire, and the crimes that were committed in Kenya were horrific. So anyone who has this heritage, who has this past, who has this history, you would imagine that they would be more
empathetic.
It's more disturbing to see such people, to take such a position.
Right. Yes, and of course, Obama growing up in the United States, despite not being despite the fact that his father was from Africa, he was treated in the United States as a black man, right? Like that's how he was. So yes. And of course, this is something I talk about a lot, and sorry if I sound like a broken record, but in line with what you were saying, it is so disturbing seeing when Jews take away from the Holocaust, never again for anyone, meaning never again for Jews. And in fact, in the name of that slogan, we're going to kill people who had literally nothing to do with the Holocaust. And that's why it's so moving to see the people who understand this, whether they are Black Americans or Jews, connecting what happened to them to this in a way that says, no, maybe my experience, the experience of my ancestors should teach us that we don't want this to happen to other people. And so, I agree that Van Jones's response is sickening, but it's also so funny because like he can't say anything in defense of Israel in this context. It totally undermines the alleged concern with a nuclear weapon the fact that Israel has one. So all he can say is why, or why does that matter, and dismisses it as a rumor, when again, it's totally documented. And anyone who knows anything about this region knows that Israel does have a nuclear weapon. And
it considers others to be subhuman, Amalek. It's genocidal. So
what a dangerous combination.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about something that you said on the great Danny Haifang show. Hi, Danny. Welcome back. Is he still in China or is he back? I'm not sure, but
no, he's back. And I was on his show.
Yeah,
I think it was yesterday. Wasn't
yeah, you
it?
were. Yeah.
And then he said it was his birthday. Now, either that was a way for him to get extra likes. I don't know, or it was his birthday. But maybe you can just say it's your birthday, and then you.
Oh yeah, it's my birthday. It will be my birthday, July. And actually, this is an easy way. No one will ever forget it. 7/11 is my birthday. But I do. Right, it's easy to remember. But I do want to wish Danny.
But since I'm sanctioned, I can't send you anything. But right. But anyway, happy birthday from
in
advance.
In advance. Yeah. And shout out to Danny, and thanks for everything that he does. You said two things that stood out to me. Well, you said a lot that stood out to me. And the analysis of the economics was fascinating. But you said that Trump is leading us towards global catastrophe, and you also warned people to brace for maximum impact. So, can you expand on both of those ideas?
I don't know how we can brace for maximum impact because. And I hope we don't get there. But during the 39-day war, obviously the Strait of Hormuz was not many ships were getting through because most of the ships had to do with those 5 Arab dictatorships that were a part of the war. And it's obvious that Iran is not going to allow, for example, the Emirates or Qatar to export oil or gas when their airspace and their bases are being used by the Americans to bomb Iran. But after the 39 days of fighting ended and the aggression stopped, we had a ceasefire deal, as we were discussing earlier. And it was Netanyahu was supposed to end the killing in Gaza and Lebanon because the ceasefire was for the entire region, not just Lebanon. It included the entire region, which meant Gaza too. Trump could have stopped that, and he didn't. So that set back the deal for a good 10, 11 days. And so for 10, 11 more days, those ships that it was agreed upon could leave the Strait of Hormuz, ships linked to those 5 countries, didn't leave. And so it just exacerbated the crisis. And then when Netanyahu was forced to accept the ceasefire, even though since then he's restarted and he's slaughtering people everywhere, that aside, well, Trump imposed a siege on Iranian ports. And when Iran said, okay, now we're going to open up the strait for these ships, Trump said, but I'm keeping my siege in place. And so Iran says, well, if you're going to do that, then we're not going to let those ships leave. So Trump and Netanyahu have effectively kept the Strait of Hormuz closed for most shipping for 2.5 months now. And right now, and I'm not an economist, but I've listened to some people who know what they're talking about, and you've invited such people on your show too, like Professor Wolf and others, decent people who look at society, how the vulnerable will be impacted, and how they're impacted in the world that we live in today by policies and by war. And what I understand is that they're saying that in the more vulnerable countries, it's already having a major impact. In countries like the United States, it's sort of like a fever that people see higher gasoline prices or higher prices for food, and they think that's it. But it's the fever is only the symptom, and something much bigger is happening. And so supply chains are being broken, and soon you'll have supply lines that are broken and factories, because all of those petrochemicals that are being produced in the Persian Gulf region, a lot of them have been destroyed, the plants. A lot of them, again, because of Trump's siege, they can't get out. And so it's not just oil, and it's not just natural gas or LNG. It's not even just helium or fertilizer, but it's all sorts of products that come out of the petrochemical plants. And so all the different industries are going to be badly affected. So factories will be shut down, industries will be closed. So if this continues, every day that this continues, it's going to get much worse. And so basically, for the sake of Zionism, Trump and Netanyahu are wrecking the global economy. I don't know how we can brace for the impact of what's happening. In Iran, we have our own problems. Of course, they bombed some of key industrial centers. They bombed pharmaceutical factories. They've bombed uh, the steel industry. They bombed petrochemical plants, and so on. Our gas installations and schools, hospitals, all sorts of things. And of course, now we have the siege, which does have an impact on life even more. So we have our own problems, but the problems that are going to hit the world are going to be probably much worse, because the world has not lived through sanctions or siege as Iran has. Iran is
Right.
used to this. The economy is structured in a way to minimize the problems, even though the problems are not small. And also people are not actually seeing what's happening. They're only seeing the it's like visible hike in prices, but what lies behind that is going to be much more devastating. And it's as if the whole world is sleepwalking towards disaster. I mean, people do know what's happening. I'm sure people around Trump and Netanyahu know what's happening, but their priority is not the United States or India or Argentina or Uganda or anywhere else. It's just the Israeli regime.
Right. Yes, sleepwalking towards disaster is a great way to put it. Wanted to ask you some super chat questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
So this comments or questions. So Empire We Are writes, in the 90s, I worked for Boeing St. Louis F-15 avionics. Boeing built 25 F-15s for Israel. The F-151I all were built to carry and deploy American B-61 series nuclear gravity bombs. That's it. Fascinating tidbit of information. Question. Oh, yeah.
Iran's sin, Katie, it's just it's about its independence, which and that's what the revolution was about. But it's because of its support for the Palestinian cause, the Cuban people, the Venezuela, South Africa under apartheid. But of course, the most sensitive issue in the West is Palestine. And so Iran's sin and the axis of resistance, their sin is their opposition to genocide and support for the Palestinian people and opposition to ethno-supremacism. I don't know if you know, but when I was on Piers Morgan's show, not the other day, but a couple of weeks ago, I asked him, do you think a regime that is founded upon ethno-supremacism is legitimate or illegitimate? And he wouldn't answer the question. I asked him 3 times, and he wouldn't answer the question, and which I think is very revealing. And I think it also shows the power of Zionism and the lobby and so on, that he says it's his show is uncensored, Piers Morgan Uncensored, but he obviously is incapable. And this time I alluded to that. I said, you failed to answer the question. He didn't say anything. He didn't say, no, I did, or anything like that. He just he ignored the comment I made 2-3 days ago when I was last on this show. Right. This is the problem. And that's why Iran has been demonized for 47 years. That's why we're always having armed insurrections funded by Western intelligence agencies. We've had 3 wars imposed on us during the last 47 years. Maximum pressure sanctions that target ordinary people. It's all about Palestine.
Right. Yes. And of course, it's so fascinating to watch the ways that different government's act and the morality, you know, the fact that Iran wants and has demanded that Lebanon be included, right, in the ceasefire. And you brought up Cuba. It reminds me of after the Bay of Pigs, the Cubans released one of their demands for releasing certain people, prisoners who had participated in the Bay of Pigs which was obviously a failed invasion, was baby formula.
Right.
You know, it's like that.
Right. Yeah.
So it's really telling to see the way that other governments, and of course, like Iran, Cuba is vilified as a terrorist nation. Iran is vilified as a terrorist nation. When the terrorism that has been implemented in relation to those countries has been funded by people in the United States, in the case of Cuba, and protected by the United States. And the terrorism has been applied to the people of Cuba, not the other way around. And so you do see a real difference in morality coming from different governments. And the biggest irony is that these are the governments that are framed as the most evil by Western media.
That's right.
Someone else wrote, so Elliot ZP, question for Professor Marandi. Why does Iranian rhetoric, I don't know what Iranian rhetoric means, but why does Iranian rhetoric at times not separate U.S. soldiers from the decision makers? Their lives have been put on the line against their will for another country. We love them.
I think that you were saying this earlier on, maybe before the show, I don't remember. You were saying that you went to Cuba and the Cubans made that distinction. The same is true in Iran. I mean, I guess it's people assume in Iran, or I myself may have done a tweet that has been misinterpreted. For example, I sometimes write the collective West is your enemy to my readers. And of course, once I think, what's this? The person from the Young Turks,
Cenk Uygur, or
yes, Cenk Uygur. He wrote underneath, no, you should make a distinction. And then I answered to, I'm not talking about ordinary people in the West. I'm just talking about the elites. It's a term that's used, nowadays. Collective West. It means like the elites, the regimes, and those. So sometimes people like myself may. Tweets are short, and you tend to be brief, and maybe I should be more careful, but that's not the intention. I mean, the intention is not to equate ordinary Americans with the elites. Right.
The collective West is about it being the United States, Europe.
Those who are in power.
Yeah. Right. Yes. Yeah. Someone else writes. Texas Ryan writes, thanks, Professor, for your time. Co-sign that. Some writes, keep up the great work, Katie. Love the show. Bastion of Truth. Always a pleasure to see and hear from Professor Marandi. Great insights and words of wisdom. And Sam Max also says, could we have a free Palestine and Cuba as key points on the list of ceasefire demands from Iran to the West? In
the ceasefire, it says the entire region. The reason why Lebanon is stated specifically was because of the heavy fighting there. Otherwise, Gaza is included.
Right.
Cuba, I don't know, but hopefully, with the collapse of Trump's regime, Cuba will be spared. I think that this war with Iran, although it's very painful for Iranians, but Iranians do believe that they're fighting not just on behalf of themselves and even the region, but this is a global struggle. Right. People say that. I mean, you go on the streets and you go to the gatherings at night, and you can feel that's the mood among ordinary people, which is very praiseworthy. But hopefully, we all have a responsibility to remind everyone all the time about Cuba, about Nicaragua, about Gaza, about Lebanon, about all the injustices that are being imposed.
Right. Well, Dr. Marandi, thank you so much as always, and please come back soon because we love hearing from you. And I still have to go get those. I have to reach out to those guests that you recommended. Hillary.
Yes, they wrote the Going to Tehran.
Yes. Yeah.
Hillary and Clinton, Hillary, Man Lever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. It's a good book. Well, I again, congratulations on your birthday. So,
ahead of time. Yeah, exactly. Wink,
So,
wink.
you know, everyone is going to like the show because it's your birthday. But
Right.
But thank you very much for inviting me. It's always a great pleasure.
Thanks so much. Have a great night.
Thank you.
For you. Night.
You too. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye. Now, don't go anywhere, guys, because we have another guest. I'm really excited to bring on our next guest. She is making her Katie Halper Show debut, and we've been talking about Lebanon, and we are bringing someone on based in Lebanon. I'm really excited. Give a thumbs up, guys. Give a thumbs up. Really, really, really pathetic that you aren't expressing this better, because I know how much you appreciate guests, and I know how much you love Dr. Marandi. So sorry to chastise, but I got to do it sometimes. So we are bringing on to the show someone who's coming to us right from Lebanon, Roqayah Chamseddine. She is a Lebanese writer, Southern Lebanese writer. She reports on the ground from Lebanon, and she writes for The Cradle, that great outlet. So we're bringing on to the show Roqayah. Let's see how this goes. And Roqayah has a bad connection, so she is joining audio but not video. But we do have this photo as a reference. Roqayah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, great. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm sorry if I butchered your last name. Chamseddine, is that how
it's Chamseddine. It means the sun of faith, like the actual sun in the sky.
Oh, wow. That's a beautiful name. What does Roqayah mean?
It means exalted.
Oh, wow. All right. No pressure. No pressure, Roqayah.
Yeah, none at all.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining. And also, I guess, like, I don't know if condolences that our tax dollars are funding what is happening there. But please tell us how long you've been in Lebanon, what you're seeing. We're going to show some of the videos that you've posted on Twitter, but I mean, just to update people on where we are right now. What do you think the most important things for people to know about are?
So I moved back home to Lebanon before the aggression began initially in 2023. And that was after the genocide, what became the genocide in Gaza began in 2023. And I've been here ever since, and I don't plan on ever leaving. But in terms of the current aggression in South Lebanon that we're seeing, there was a reopening of aggression. It started on the 2nd of March, so very recently. And just to open with some facts that people can understand, Israel has killed over 2,700 people since March the 2nd and injured over 8,200 people. And this includes the coordinated strike on the 8th of April, which killed over 300 people in the span of 10 minutes, what we call Black Wednesday. A majority of the people that they killed were women and children and healthcare workers. Israel has killed over 103 healthcare workers as of today. And the current aggression in South Lebanon, I want people to understand, is a continuation of this long-standing campaign of territorial expansion and structural violence that predates the establishment of what we know as the Israeli state. Because and this is important because while mainstream media often dismisses what's happening in the South as border instability or what have you, this is a deliberate policy of imperialist encroachment that is determined to undermine Lebanese sovereignty and subdue the South. And this is a historical arc that's rooted in the events of the 1940s. I'm really happy that many people understand the Nakba, or the disaster that saw the ethnic cleansing of Palestine. But back in the 1940s, there was the depopulation of 7 of our villages in South Lebanon. They were including Hunin, Nabi Yusha, Qadas, and this was a calculated campaign that involved massacres, like the massacre in Shola, where dozens of men were executed and buried under the rubble of a demolished house in Shola. There was another massacre in Sahina, where nearly 90 residents were killed inside a mosque. And Israel has been determined to permanently alter the region's geography. And these early campaigns of ethnic cleansing in South Lebanon have served as the blueprint for the brutal invasions and the attacks that we've seen in 1978 and 1982 in 2006. And there's been an establishment of a pattern of settler colonial logic that views Lebanese land as a strategic depth that needs to be seized and decimated. And consequently, South Lebanon has transformed because of this into a primary site of native resistance, where the landscape, our geography itself is a repository of historical memory and a focal point for the struggle against our displacement. And today, mind you, over 1.2 million Lebanese citizens have been forcibly displaced from Dahi, from what is known as the southern suburb of Beirut, and from South Lebanon. But at this very moment, the people of South Lebanon continue to serve as the bulwark against this colonial subjugation, and they've maintained a resolve for the sovereignty of this land that is inextricably linked to the massacres of those 7 villages and what has happened since then.
Yeah, well, thank you for that important context. And later on, I mean, I want to prioritize talking to you about what's happening right now in Lebanon, but I would love to talk to you more about the imperialism behind what's happening there and what happened historically, because I think that gets missed sometimes. Well, not sometimes. It's never in the conversation. I mean, when we're talking about media, but even some people on the left, I think, see this as a conflict that is more of something like, especially America Firsters, right? Well, they'll say something like, "This isn't who we are," as if we're doing stuff on behalf of Israel. And we are this innocent angel. And this is not in any way to exonerate Israel at all. I'm just saying that there is an important imperialist context for
I think it's a misreading of the political relationship. I've had arguments with many people about who runs the show, and I remain committed to the fact that it is the U.S. that there's a saying that myself and others have, that no one spits in Israel without America's permission. And I will continue to hold that line. Nothing that Israel is doing is without the written permission of the United States. And if we want to talk about what's happened today, because every day for the past few weeks, the attacks on South Lebanon have been increasing. And today there's been a wave of violent airstrikes and artillery campaigns across the South, which have included systemic targeting of residential sectors and vital transport corridors that are meant to detach villages, not just from Beirut, but from each other. There's been another killing of a Lebanese civil defense member. He was driving near Kfar Shuba and Mayfadun. The Lebanese Red Cross and the Lebanese Army were trying to extract bodies their bodies, because unfortunately they were prevented from getting them, 2 citizens, Chamseddine and Mahdi Naqad, who were buried under the rubble of a destroyed building since yesterday. And this isn't even the first time a situation like this has happened, where Israel bombs a site, the first responders come, they then do a double tap strike intending to kill the paramedics, and then they prevent other people from coming to even retrieve the bodies. In Masjid Zoun, this is all in South Lebanon, they prevented first responders from coming to the aid of a family that were heard screaming and crying out for help for days, until by the time they were able to finally go and retrieve them, they were all killed.
It's one of those things where by now it's not surprising, and yet it is so shocking that these things happen, and that there's not more of an outcry about this. I mean, just imagine for 1 second if there was a story about Hamas or Hezbollah doing a double tap. I mean, the media would be up in arms about it, right? About how savage and evil and inhumane these murderers are. And then Israel does that as policy, official policy, constantly. It's a sustained policy. And there's really no discussion about it.
Yeah, and I think it's intentional because of look, they've dehumanized the people of this region for long before you or I ever existed. And I think that is the fundamental reason as to why People keep telling me why isn't anyone saying anything? What is there left to say after all of this killing almost 3,000 people in the span of a month and a half, many of them women and children? There's one of the most jarring cases. I remember this happened over a year ago before the recent escalation. People have to remember that for 15 months, Hezbollah didn't respond, though they had a right to under international law. They didn't respond to the daily attacks against southern Lebanon, South Lebanon and Dahi. They were hitting Beirut. But because the Lebanese state and other members of our society and outsiders don't see Dahi as a part of Beirut, it was kind of brushed aside and okayed because we're constantly told that these are Hezbollah targets. And so it's permissible to kill them. In one incident in Bint Jbeil, they targeted a vehicle full of an entire family and killing 3 children. One of them was left beheaded in the child was beheaded in the back seat, in the car seat. The only ones to survive was the mother and her daughter. And the Lebanese government did nothing in response. And people were saying that this is okay, this is permissible because of Hezbollah. Hezbollah just merely existing, not engaging, but existing. And I think we have to do away with this idea that people do not have the right to resist by whatever means necessary to prevent their citizens from being killed and from their villages being occupied. We have a right to resist Israel by whatever means at our disposal. And that's what Hezbollah is doing. But again, when they weren't even doing anything, Israel was killing us.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dr. Marandi was talking about how disgusting it is that the media will refer to things as Hezbollah strongholds, right? And we saw also the Western media with Gaza saying, Hamas controlled, right? No one ever says when they're saying statistics, no one ever says like Likud controlled, the Likud controlled health ministry or whatever. But
yeah, and when people say that by saying that, I live in Dahi. That Dahi is where I go every single day. Even after they were attacking Dahi, I would go to the areas that they were bombing. Because I consider Dahi, I love Dahi. I love the people of Dahi. But whenever a journalist says this, these people are stenographers. If you want to call them journalists, be my guest. But these are what you call stenographers of power. All they do is repeat what the State Department wants them to say. They do not examine, they do not investigate. And by saying this is a Hezbollah stronghold, not that we're ashamed of Hezbollah, not that we're ashamed of being associated with Hezbollah, but to say that you're intentionally putting a target on the people of that area and saying, if they down an entire building on top of you, this area is a Hezbollah stronghold, so everybody will die, and that is okay. Right. This is the meaning behind using that language.
Yeah, exactly. And we know that obviously the United States vilifies, like they don't openly necessarily directly say, you know, the Lebanese people are evil, but they say Hezbollah is evil, right? So if they're calling something a Hezbollah stronghold, that's a way for them to give themselves some like moral cover for it, or to try it. I mean, it doesn't obviously give any, but you know, we saw this with Gaza. It's like they're so stupid, these people. They think that they're making a moral case. Like there's one person in this hospital, one Hamas operative in this hospital, so we have to bomb the hospital or we're justified in bombing it. And they're just saying they're war crimes out loud because again, these people have no accountability, so they're used to lying through their teeth, or they're probably so ignorant also about international humanitarian law. So first of all, you never know if there's actually this Hamas person in I'm just giving an example, right? In the hospital that they're claiming. Second of all, even if there were a Hamas person, that's illegal. That's still a war crime.
Yeah. And I mean, it just reminds me of, I'm sure everyone remembers whenever they went into the hospital and they pointed at the whatever was on the whiteboard, and they said, look, this is a list of like Hamas terrorists, and it was the names of the months in Arabic. Exactly. So they know that the propaganda is so pathetic because they know people outside of our countries don't speak our language. They don't understand us. They don't understand our culture. And that's why also whenever they say they've hit Dahi, they didn't hit Dahi, they hit Beirut. Beirut, Dahi is in Beirut, but the reason why they say that is because Beirut is associated with this Orientalist fetishism of the Paris of the Middle East. You can go to the bar, you can drink, you can party, you can have fun. They're just like us, but Dahi sounds scary. Dahi is something who can. If you go to Dahi is no different than Hamra. Dahi is no different than other areas of Beirut. You can do the same things, and I'm not trying to feed into this Orientalism by saying, yeah, you can also do these things, but they're intentionally twisting language in order to make killing us permissible.
Right. And of course, Dahia is significant, and there's very disgusting history bound up in that. So Dahia is a neighborhood, right, in Beirut. And there's the famous Dahia Doctrine, Israel's Dahia Doctrine, which describes inflicting maximum pain and damage on the civilian population to try and deter resistance groups, and in hopes of getting the people to turn, like, to rise up against that group, like Hezbollah.
Yeah, the Dahia is a suburb, and it has many different neighborhoods. One of them that I one of my favorites is Harat Harek. That's one that's been bombarded severely over the last year and a half, and it was attacked recently. The yesterday or the day before yesterday at night, they targeted a building in Harat Harek, intending to kill one individual said to be belonging to Hezbollah. They ended up tearing down 6 floors of a residential building. And if you ever go to Dahi, you know one thing: the buildings are they're tight. They're very tight, close to each other. So if you hit one, another one's gonna fall. If you go to Dahi now, I went there a few weeks ago looking for a bookstore. And I was looking for a specific street, and they had hit it so much that one of the men that lived there told me, "What are you looking for? All the streets are gone. The bookstore is gone. The cafe is gone." So they were giving directions using debris. That's what they've done. If you see Dahi now, it is incredible just how much damage that has been inflicted on it. And yes, it is the Dahi Doctrine is the intentional, it's a means that Israel uses to inflict maximum pain, because they know at the end of the day that this attempt to kill members of Hezbollah, that's not really all that they're going for. What they aim to do is inflict enough pain on the native population that we will then go, oh well, we don't support Hezbollah anymore. I lost my house. I don't support Hezbollah anymore. They killed my father, like Israel killed my father. When the opposite happens with us, because we understand this is what Israel is attempting to do. You'll find lots of videos from South Lebanon and Dahi, people going that, for the sake of the resistance and the men fighting on the front lines, take my house, take my life, so long as you keep defending us.
Yeah. Wow. It's it is. I mean, again, we see again and again that the West underestimates, I would say, the people that they are trying to annihilate.
Just like with Iran, they expected them to rise up and overthrow the government, and the opposite happened. They've been protesting in the streets of Iran pretty much every single day. This is a type of campaign that imperialists, whether it's the United States or other vassal states working on their behalf, have inflicted upon us since before our grandfathers, and it hasn't worked. If anything, it is made us more determined to continue on this path until not only we're able to rebuild our villages, but we're able to retake the villages that they stole from us and they depopulated back in the 1940s.
Right. So, Roqayah, I wanted to show some of your tweets, which are extremely disturbing, informative, though. So you write, today's morning report on South Lebanon. Israel has intensified its violent air and artillery campaign across southern Lebanon, which has included the systematic targeting of residential sectors and vital transport corridors. Critical. Can you actually, do you want to just either read? I don't know if are you on your laptop, if you can access this?
Yeah, I can read. I can read some of them for you right now.
And then we can show some of the videos that you have.
Okay, so today, Israel intensified its violent air and artillery campaign across southern Lebanon, which has included the systematic targeting of residential sectors and vital transport corridors. A critical escalation occurred on the road between Kfar Shuba and Kfar Hammam, where an Israeli drone strike on a pickup truck killed a Lebanese civil defense member in a double tap attack. He has been identified as Yahya Hafiz. This was followed by a successive wave of heavy aerial bombardment on Jmejme, Dir Ammas, and Bayut al-Siyad, where sustained artillery fire targeted the outskirts of Safad al-Battikh and Barashit, effectively creating a fire belt to isolate these border communities. In Mayfadoun, the Lebanese Red Cross and the Lebanese Army, this is what I talked about before, executed a high-risk extraction of residents trapped by surrounding strikes, successfully evacuating several individuals, including at least one casualty. Meanwhile, in Blat, in the district of Marjayoun, 2 citizens, Hassan Azzuddin and Mahdi Naqab, have been buried under the rubble of a destroyed building since yesterday. They were killed, by the way, since I posted this. Despite urgent coordination efforts, Israeli forces obstructed rescue teams for several hours, only granting the Lebanese Army and Red Cross access late this morning. The delay has significantly compromised the window for life-saving intervention. So today's Israeli attacks underscore a strategy aimed at paralyzing movement and dismantling the emergency relief infrastructure. By striking first responders and arterial roads, the military is tightening a chokehold on the south and expanding the radius of aggression into central districts.
And then here are the images that you posted. Are you able to see what I'm putting on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so
that was the attack on the first responder, on Yahya Hafiz. That was his vehicle. Yeah.
This is what's happening here.
And these are just the ambulances. I believe this is in the area of Safad al-Battikh, and the other 2 are in Bayut al-Siyad. And Kfar Shuba. And then I also shared images because today there was at least one massacre. There was a drone strike in the village of Zahrane. They killed an entire family. It was a father and his 2 sons, Ali Basim al-Assad and his sons Basim and Zulfikar. They were all killed inside of their homes.
That's them right there.
Yeah. And then there was other men in Dir Antar, which is in the district of Bint Jbel. They killed 4 men. 2 of them were direct relatives to each other. So what they're doing is they're killing entire families in their homes, on the roads. They're killing first response teams. And not just that, I also want to bring up the fact that Israel has deliberately targeted members of the press. Most notably, people might remember the double tap strike on the 22nd of April, targeting veteran Al-Akhbar journalist Amal Khalil. She had previously received direct threats on her personal phone from members of Israeli intelligence, not just that day, but previously as well. And she was killed after her vehicle was targeted. First, the vehicle in front of them was hit, and then her vehicle was hit. And she was killed after seeking cover in a residential house following that initial strike. She was there alongside Al-Akhbar photojournalist Zainab Faraj. And despite them having the press markers on their vehicle, and saying that almost, it seems ridiculous because they're doing it on purpose. Right. A second missile targeted the building that Zainab and Amal were in, and subsequent rescue efforts were intentionally obstructed by Israel because they started to use live fire on the paramedics and to prevent them from reaching Amal, because they managed to pull out Zainab and they went back to get Amal, and Israel prevented them from doing it. So she was there for over 6 hours and only Zainab survived. And this is another escalation because previously Israel killed Ali Shaib of Al-Manar, Fatima Ftouni, and her brother Mohammad Ftouni. He was a photojournalist. They were intentionally targeted while wearing their press gear, while their vehicle was marked. And there's been 9 journalists in Lebanon killed since the 2nd of March alone. And it's a lethal campaign of intimidation that's designed to blind people as to what's happening in the South, because there's not many people who are able to go and cover what's happening in South Lebanon because of the intensity of the waves of the strikes. And Israel doesn't care if you're wearing a press vest. It might as well be a target on your back at this point because of how they're conducting themselves. It is meant to blind the world as to what's happening to not just the people of South Lebanon, but to blind the world as to what is happening with the resistance operations in South Lebanon, from people understanding that, yes, there have been Israeli casualties. Yes, Israeli forces are getting hit. They are getting struck. So this is the current situation.
Yeah. It is, I mean, I find myself saying this so frequently, which is that words fail. I mean, your words are excellent. Obviously, your analysis is excellent. But in general, I mean, in the face of what is happening, I mean, what can you say? And I saw the most disturbing thing by Lexi Alexander, who is Palestinian, based now. She's from Germany, but she's now moved to Ireland, understandably. And she said that she was speaking to a Palestinian. Let me just actually get this up. It's really disturbing. A Palestinian. Let's see. Oh, account suspended. Right. She has another one. I'm trying to find her new one, but she was speaking to a Palestinian young man who basically said, oh, here it is. Okay, let me see if I can find it. Something went wrong. It's not your fault. Basically said that they wanted to become a journalist. And the reason was because suicide is haram. So basically saying that because suicide is against Islam, right? It's not permitted in Islam. Or however you frame it. Like there's a prohibition against it, like there is in other religions. So basically this person wanted to, I guess, put himself out of his misery, couldn't do it through suicide. And so thought a way to basically get himself killed would be by becoming a journalist because it's so targeted.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand that type of mentality at this point. I've heard similar things from Palestinian colleagues.
Right.
Because this is a widespread project to try and silence the work of people on the ground here who mind you, these are journalists who are reporting on villages and communities and places that they know that they've grown up in. These are their homes. These are their communities. So this is more than the fly in and fly outs that come here and do press tours and leave. This is our home.
Right. Wanted to ask you another question, Roqayah. So, you I want to quote another one of your tweets. So, as you pointed out, so it's supposed to be a ceasefire, right? That we're engaged in right now. I'm just getting your. Okay, so you write. Israel and the United States do not comply with ceasefires, not in Gaza and not in Lebanon. Nearly 2,800 killed in Lebanon since March 2nd, at least 837 killed in Gaza since October 11th. Their ceasefire, quote unquote ceasefire, is an imperialist mirage. So can you talk about, elaborate on this?
Yeah, the situation with the ceasefire is there is none, not here and not in Gaza. There has not been a second in the last year and a half in South Lebanon where Israel hasn't killed someone. I was making a list of all the people that they were killing during those 15 months where Hezbollah was not firing on Israel, though again, they had the right to, but Israel was killing an average of 4 people a day. 4 people a day. They were killing by drone strike. They were killing by airstrike. They were killing by so-called targeted attacks in Dahi, in South Lebanon, on the road, in their homes, wherever. And the same thing is happening in Gaza. In Gaza last night, they killed 3 people near a police station, I believe, in Rafah, I think it was. So this is happening every single day. And because it's not being broadcasted like what we saw before with Gaza, where Gaza was taking presence over all platforms, some in the mainstream media, surprisingly, we're not getting that here. We're not getting the same kind of focus on what is occurring. And that's because all people are seeing is the airstrikes. So that's why I make it my mission to put to tell people their names and tell people where these individuals, what villages they come from, how they died, because it's important to keep an archive of our casualties and to make people understand that they're wiping away entire communities. In the village of Dwer, yesterday or the day before, they targeted the town center, and before that they targeted a cemetery there and something called the Husseiniya. It's a religious hub that's used by the community for not just giving speeches but for doing other things that are beneficial to the local community. They're intentionally targeting churches. This caught people's attention. And I don't mind talking about this, but I think that it speaks to the Western mindset that once they hear, oh, Israeli forces are targeting a nunnery or a church, and for example, Yarun, it gets their attention because there's supposed to be some semblance of Judo-Christian solidarity, which is a joke. But no, this is what they do. And this is why we tell others who are watching, who are Christian, they don't care that you're Christian. They don't care that you believe them to be belonging to the promised land, which is, again, a ridiculous notion that has somehow continued until now. But they're going after every single historical place in Lebanon, whether it belongs to Christians or whether it belongs to Muslims. They were bringing down entire mosques for over a year and a half in South Lebanon, and no one said anything. But then you have the situation where they're attacking the statue of Christ and hitting his head, the face of Christ with a mallet. That kind of, it's too metaphorical to even describe how this speaks to the nature of not just Israel, but Zionism in general, be it Christian Zionism or Jewish Zionism, whatever expression this is what it is. It is a mallet taken to the face of Christ.
Right. Yeah. You kind of can't make it up, right?
Yeah.
And of course, somehow that was something that sparked outrage, not the actual killing of actual Christians. It just happened to be an image that was so uncomfortable.
Right.
That people who are okay with the killing of Christians if they're in Lebanon or if they're in Palestine, they had to.
And they have killed Christians, by the way. That I need people to know. They have killed Christians. They killed a father and son a few weeks ago. Their name escapes me, but I documented their names. They killed two priests in Lebanon. One of them in his priestly garb is when they killed him. I mean, they're going after native indigenous Lebanese land that is that Christians have been on for a millennia. So they don't care. This is about taking over in South Lebanon. Is taking over the strategic geography. They want the Litani. They've said they want it, and they're willing to do anything. The only thing stopping them is not just the people of the South, but Hezbollah. That's the only thing stopping them right now. The Hezbollah, which has been responding since March 2nd to ongoing attacks on the people of Lebanon.
Right. Yeah. Can you talk about the way the government, the Lebanese government acts like vis-a-vis shares control with Hezbollah?
Well, that might take another episode, but no, the Lebanese government is acting as their own little vassal entity working at the behest of the United States. We had the foreign minister, Youssef Rajah, say that, oh, well, Israel has the right to attack wherever they want in Lebanon because of Hezbollah posing a threat to Israel. This is the foreign minister of Lebanon saying this. And then you have Noaf Slam, who is the prime minister, and then you have Joseph Aoun, who is the president of Lebanon, who Noaf Slam at one point during the height, before the recent escalation, during the height of other attacks on his own Lebanese, his own citizens, said, what do you want me to do? Send out a statement every time they kill somebody or every time there's an attack? And yet whenever there was an attack on the UAE, allegedly by Iran, you had the president of Lebanon offering within minutes, offering his condolences and his solidarity to the UAE and denouncing it. So they've been working, and that's also why many people who have been victims of Israeli massacres and attacks have said that the Lebanese government has blood on their hands. They are directly facilitating the deaths of our people, not just by attacking Hezbollah and the right to resist, but attacking the supporters of Hezbollah. At some point, members of the Lebanese army arrested Lebanese citizens who allegedly had weapons that they found being carried through the border or through the roads, through Lebanese army checkpoints, and they put them in prison for it. It's something that it kind of defies all, I don't even know how to explain it. They're actively killing your own citizens, and the best you can do is, it's worse than nothing. It's conspiring against them to make sure that the killing continues. And now there's talk of Joseph Aoun, who's the president, going to the White House to have a meeting with Trump, and then possibly he's going to be ambushed and have a photo op with Netanyahu. At this point, he should just go ahead and do it. At this point, he should just go shake the hands of Netanyahu and get it over with, because that's how many people are feeling. And I can only speak for myself. This is how I feel, especially after watching not just my friends' villages get bombed, but my village get bombed countlessly, not just now, but previously, without any response from the Lebanese government. They haven't rebuilt a single home in Dahi before even the most recent attacks. They haven't put up a single brick in Dahi, in Beirut, to support their people, nothing. And as over 1 million of us are forcibly displaced, the Lebanese state has offered nothing.
Is this, I mean, again, I don't think you have a way of knowing this beyond anecdotal evidence, but is your sense that people are more pro-Hezbollah now because of their resistance, or are they now less supportive of Hezbollah because they're blaming Israel's response? As you pointed out several times, and I want to highlight this, Israel was attacking Lebanon before Hezbollah did anything, right? But are people like kind of falling for that narrative? And
I'd say
Hezbollah? Yeah.
I'd say widespread sentiment is on the side of the Lebanese resistance. But what's even more important is that you'll hear people say, I don't support Hezbollah's politics, because Hezbollah is not just a Lebanese resistance organization. They also offer other assistance to our community beyond just defending us on the border. We're talking about social services. We're talking about education. We're talking about healthcare. It is an entire organization that functions like the Lebanese state should.
Right.
And you'll hear people say, I don't support Hezbollah's politics, but I support their right to resist. And that is across all sects, all genders, all communities across Lebanon. But the most important thing to keep in mind is majority of Lebanese are against normalization with Israel. And that is what you should keep your eye on when we talk about what's happening politically in Lebanon today. A majority of Lebanese citizens are against normalization. And I'm talking about over 80-90% of them. So whenever you see videos going around where you'll see people saying, oh, it's fine, we should just make peace and get it over with, I want to go party in Tel Aviv. These are not just a minority. They're a minority of a minority of a minority. They don't exist to us, and they shouldn't exist, especially while we're actively being killed.
Right. Yeah. And I've also heard people say, I don't like their politics, but they keep me safe, right? So there's the right to resist, but also, like, I've had on a Christian journalist who was saying, yeah, their politics are kind of weird. I'm Christian and they keep me safe.
Yeah, and you'll hear a lot of that, because again, South Lebanon is a very diverse community, and it is a majority Shia, but we have Christians in South Lebanon who have been a part of our community as long as we have been there.
Right.
And the defense and Hezbollah always begins statements. The statements they release every single day now, whenever they perform these operations, they always say, in defense of Lebanon and its people, and in response to that. And it's not in response to the Shia, in response to South Lebanon. It's in defense of Lebanon and its people.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Want to show another statement that you made. Oops, wrong one. Sorry, I have a lot of your very brilliant tweets up here. Stop screen. Sorry about that. Share screen. Let's see, which one is this? Okay. For nearly, do you want to read this? It's the for nearly 3 years tweet.
Oh, this one. Okay, hold on. Let me pull it up because I'm blind. Okay, so for nearly 3 years, many of us have been reporting from and on South Lebanon, on our villages, our people, our home. We remain deeply indebted to this land and to both our occupier and to the martyrs etched into its hills and valleys. A community unbroken, defiant, and profoundly determined to remain here despite the overwhelming cost. For nearly 3 years, we have lived and breathed the story of South Lebanon, writing and speaking through the dust of our own history, knowing that every report we file is anchored in the soil that made us who we are. It is a heavy privilege to bear witness to a land and a people that will not yield. But we know this, that the heartbeat of the South will forever outlast the echoes of its tragedies. And I posted a photo that I took last year, and this is my village, Arab Salim.
Well, I want to ask you actually about this kind of connection to the land and to the soil, as you note, which seems very central to the struggle. Can you talk about that bond to the land and the importance of this in the struggle against colonization? And one thing I will just say, one anecdote before that, is that there's this artist named Adam Broomberg. He's an anti-Zionist Jewish South African photographer, really brilliant. He lives in Berlin, where he's been like canceled, obviously, and beaten by the police, which is you can't make that up. It's too on the nose almost. And I remember him saying that his mother, when she was dying, he finally got her to understand why that Zionism was wrong. And one of the ways he did that was he was like, how can people, if they claim to like come from this land, you know, in quotes, how could they burn the olive trees? And anyway, that's just something that always stands out in my head when.
Yeah, no, that's completely true. I mean, speaking on this, the Israelis operate under the singular colonial hallucination that the people here can be terrified into submission, and that by attacking our villages, that South Lebanon will forget the people who've tilled its land with this continuous pulse of life. But like you said, a man who's born of the dust of South Lebanon doesn't feed the olive trees that are in our villages with white phosphorus, and he doesn't poison the wells of his own future, because only a thief burns the house down when he realizes the keys will never fit his. And so,
sorry, you got cut off.
Whenever people
when
talk,
he realizes, sorry, only, can you say it again? Only a thief? You cut out.
Only a thief will burn down the house when he realizes the keys will never fit his hand. And that's what we are witnessing. Because all these attacks that Israel is conducting in South Lebanon isn't a sign of power. It's a sign, it's like a confession of their transience here. And so the struggle that we view, how we view the struggle in South Lebanon isn't through the lens of like a single season or a single battle, but through the lens of this eternal right that we don't need permission for, not from the international community or from anyone, because the intellectual core of our resistance is the understanding that their steel is finite, but our patience is not. That's why steadfastness is very important to us. And while their soldiers are defending or fighting like this frantic manufactured frontier, our youth, the people who are fighting, not just on the front lines, but by remaining in their villages, they're moved by the oxygen that exists in the villages of their ancestors, because in this struggle, the act of resistance is the only act that restores our humanity from the hands of those who want to make us ghosts in our own geography. So I want to emphasize that despite the thousands of martyrs that we're losing in this latest Israeli campaign, and despite the cordite, the smoke that still hangs over our homes, the mood of the people of the South is one of complete and absolute clarity, because we know the era of their invasions is coming to an end, and the era of not just our permanence, but the people of Palestine's permanence has begun. So they can boast about, like, they created the yellow line or the orange line. They can pick whatever color they want. Our generations to come will look back at what happened and realize that the Galilee was always our backyard, and that South Lebanon wasn't a theater of war, but it's the home of human endurance, where the struggle for our land is inseparable from the struggle for the future of not just South Lebanon, but the entire region, and that we're going to remain here until the footprint of the last Israeli occupier is washed away by everyone who returns to their homes.
Well, speaking of the land and this strong connection, and you're so passionate when you speak about this, can you talk about your own relationship to Lebanon, like your personal trajectory and your family's trajectory?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk to you about Arab Salim. It sits on the ridges of the Klimat Tafah, which in English it would translate to the province of apples. And it's about 600 or 700 meters above sea level. And it's kind of like a natural a balcony that overlooks the Mediterranean coast to the west and the Galilee finger to the south. But the village is really famous for being cradled by the valley of Habush, which has been targeted tremendously, and where the Zahrani River kind of carves through the mountains. And if you're actually standing in the village and you're looking through all the gorges and everything, you can see just so much beauty in the mountains up there. And it's been targeted in the last month about 4 times. But that's also in front of my family home in Arab Salim is where my aunt Huda was killed back in the 80s. She was sitting under the olive grove, and the olive grove is still there, but it actually stopped producing olives since that attack. The trees still grow, but no olives fruit anymore. She was sitting there and with her friends, and Israel dropped it was an airstrike, and it killed her and paralyzed one of her friends, and she actually died in my uncle's arms that day.
Wow.
So every time I go back and I go home, that's what's right in front of me.
Wow. Did you know her, or did she die before you?
No, that was before I was born even. She was my father's younger sister. She was not even 16 years old at the time.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
And where did you grow up?
I actually was born in Texas.
Wow.
I grew up in Texas.
Wow. And
yeah.
And yet you've gone back to your roots.
Yeah, absolutely. We used to go back home every summer. I stayed a few years before whenever I was younger. And also I grew up with the issue of Palestine. In 2009, I tried to get into Gaza with the Gaza Freedom March. Didn't get to go in, unfortunately.
Right.
But no, I've like many people of my generation and of my background, I've been very political all my life. So it's no surprise really to anyone. I've kind of ended up here where I will, like I said before, this is my home and I won't leave.
Right. Yeah. Which is, a lot of people, I'm sure, find that hard to believe. Like, oh, you live somewhere where you won't get bombed, and you're now living somewhere where that is a possibility. So what makes you make that decision?
I think because at the end of the day, for me, not just for me, but for many people, we want to remain here because for us, this is where our world begins. Like everything here is not just our job. It is us. This is where my family history begins. And this is where my life at some point will finish here, among the only part of me that I feel has moved me politically. I can't explain it any other way. I don't want to be anywhere else but here. And if the only thing I can do while I'm here is write and report and go on shows like yours to explain to people what's happening, I'm doing just a little bit of what I consider a duty towards not just South Lebanon, but towards my people in general, because this has been going on since before my grandfather's generation, where we've had to endure the Israeli attempt to ethnically cleanse us from our land, and we've watched the displacement, and it's happened before, and hopefully our generation will be the one that ends it.
Wow, yeah, that's very inspiring to hear. And again, I think it's something that people don't understand when they are occupiers. So we actually referred earlier with Dr. Marandi to that really disgusting video of this guy named Jacob. I think it's Mohammad Kurd's family who's yelling at this guy. I mean, yelling it's not that strong. They are rightly complaining that he's taking their home. And he says, if it wasn't me, it would be someone else. And this is someone who's like grew up in Brooklyn, you know? And I don't think that they have that same connection to the land.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that because it's just not there.
Yeah.
It is truly disgusting. And I wanted to show, and Brad, welcome to the show, Brad. Can we show that one video that I said we hadn't shown yet? Let me know if you have that. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. One second. Let me just introduce this. So, okay. So, this is so a lot of people have watched the videos coming from Iran, but I think it's worth playing one from Hezbollah. So, and you wrote a little bit about the symbology here. So you want to tell us about it first, or should we watch the video first?
Yeah, let's watch it first, and then I'll talk about it.
Okay, great. Okay. We are going to, as Brad suggests, we are going to not have the audio because for copyright reasons. So I think it'll be okay though, right? Okay. I hope I don't offend you. The aesthetic butchering.
No.
Okay. Okay. Oh, weird. Okay.
Okay, so first I want to say something that I think many people might find interesting. So you'll hear Hezbollah use the same music in all of their videos. The music comes from the movie The Rock, just so everyone knows that.
Yeah.
With Sean Connery.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Right. So I think that's why Brad.
Yeah, I love the music.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, in this video, it's called "We Will Hunt You Down," and it was released yesterday. And it shows a golden eagle, which is it's native to this region, but it's rarely seen here. But it's weaved in with footage of their FPV drones targeting. It's a first-person view drones. It's a unmanned. It's a UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle. They control it with a real-time video feed that gives the pilot behind it like a cockpit perspective of what's going on, which is not the same as the typical drones where you're looking at like a screen or a controller. So and also the Israelis are pretty much unable to jam it and take advantage of the high tech that the Americans kindly provide them with in jamming, these types of drone attacks. So it features the golden eagle with the drones target and lizards. I couldn't identify the lizards. I love ornithology, but I'm not a lizard person.
Right.
So if anyone wants to tell me what kind they are, I'm assuming it's anyway. So they show them targeting Israeli soldiers, and why this is really poetic. We're known to be poetic people in this region. The golden eagle is, like I said, a rare resident and breeding bird in the high altitude mountains of Lebanon. And so this is symbolizing the rugged spirit, I wrote, of the land itself. And so they're framing the resistance attacks and the aerial presence as indigenous, like the bird, reclaiming the sovereignty of the skies over Lebanon. And one reporter who works with Free Palestine TV and also Press TV, he mentioned this during an interview that he did recently. He said this is the first time that the Israelis have to look up. And that is actually a very good point to make, because the Israelis are known to be masters of the sky, but this is also showing there's been a kind of revolution with the tech that Hezbollah is using, because now Israelis have to look up and they have to wonder, is what I'm hearing a friendly, or is it something that's going to kill me?
Right. Yeah. Which is something that I don't think Israel would like for people to know about.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it goes against their, projection of absolute dominance and strength.
Exactly.
And can you talk more about this right to resist and where it comes from?
I mean, I've become disenchanted with talking about international law because, frankly, we've seen the how far international law goes when it
Right.
comes to Gaza. When we all watched live feeds of children being disemboweled by Israeli weaponry on live television, and it's the native right to resist. It's Americans can relate. I grew up in Texas. I'm very I'm a big while I might be left wing,
Right.
I'm not a liberal, and I support a person's right to bear arms, not in the same way right wingers in America seem to see it, but I have the right to defend my land and defend my family and defend my people against an occupier who's coming in, who tells you, mind you, every single day, we're going to bomb your village. They send so-called warnings. We're going to attack these villages. You have no time to get away. You have no time to leave. It is just a formality that we're going to kill you. So the right to resist is the natives' right in the Fanonian sense, in any kind of sense where you have the right to defend yourself. And especially when it comes to being on your own land, we're not going into occupied Palestine and killing them and finding them and executing them and taking over their military. We're killing them on our own land here. That's what Hezbollah has been doing. The video that you saw of the Golden Eagle, all of those were attacks on Israelis in South Lebanon.
Right.
And not only that, guess what? The Israelis are given this authority to kill so-called members of Hezbollah from occupied Palestine, from so-called Israeli territory. We have the same right. We have the same right to attack Israeli military personnel wherever they are, so long as they're attacking us. And I want to say this is protected by international law, but I frankly don't care.
Right.
I don't care if international law protects me or not, because at the end of the day, international law seems to only protect the people that these laws are written by. That's why there's been no member of Western society that's ever been prosecuted at The Hague until now, despite overwhelming evidence showing that they've committed numerous verified, documented atrocities. So that the native right to resist is the right to defend yourself. That is the essence of it, especially when you're on your own land.
Right. Yeah. And especially, of course, when it's like you're on your own land, especially when the attacks are I mean, it's kind of doubly ironic because these people are occupying, and obviously with occupation though comes violence. So it is
right.
It's when people say it's unprovoked, that's like such a joke. Oh, I didn't even know.
And not only that, what do they want us to do? You want us to sit across the table and share drinks and go, you know what? I think you should stop killing us now. You want to consider that? No. This is the only, like Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, the former Secretary General of Hezbollah who was assassinated, said they only respect you when they only respect your weapon. They don't respect anyone that's weak. Why should we take a weak position and go and have these diplomatic back and forths? Even the so-called diplomacy that they're trying to extend towards Iran, they killed a member of the Iranian Navy yesterday night, and they've been attacking Iran in other ways by sanctions and otherwise. So this whole idea of we need to be pragmatic and diplomatic, it's just a ridiculous fetish that a lot of Westerners seem to have. If we just speak nice and hold hands, and we can all have, I don't want peace with the person killing me. I'm sorry. I mean, you can have that wherever you are, have at it, but I don't want to have peace because there is no peace.
Right. Well, this has been very enlightening. Do you have anything else that you want to make sure that we talk about? And would love to have you back on. But
yes, I would be remiss if I didn't mention also too. I not only write and talk a lot. I do both of those things, you know, kind of well on my podcast Delete Your Account with Kumar Salahi, and we've been on for like 10 years now. It's going to be our 10-year anniversary coming up soon. If it's already passed, I'm sorry, Kumar. But yeah, so you can find me there and on Twitter. And yeah, I really appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, of course. It was great. And yeah, again, let's definitely have you back on. And thanks for all that you do and all of your great reporting.
Thanks so much.
All righty. Bye. Okay. Bye, Roqayah. So don't go anywhere yet. That was great. Everyone liked the stream. Everyone follow Roqayah. Oh, I meant to put in her Twitter, but I will put, we have to add her. I wasn't sure if she was going to be able to join, so I have to add her to the YouTube description, and we will do that and we'll also link to her Twitter and to her podcast. Let me just see. We may be getting in another guest. Hold on one second. Okay. What time is 8 p.m. Greek time? What New York time is that? That's probably too late. If she wants to do that, then we'd have to do a second stream, right? Hold on one second. 8 p.m. Greek. Brad, can you help me out with this? 8 p.m. Oh, it's 1 p.m. Okay. Yeah, I can try to do this. Let me just think. Here, Brad, let me throw you on stage. Hi, Brad. Hi, Brad. How's it going?
Hey, Katie.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being so hardworking. Everyone, thank Brad. Thank you, Brad. What was I going to say? We may have the chance to do, I'm trying to think if it would make sense to do a new stream later, like shortly, or we could try to kibitz and vamp for half an hour, but maybe maybe it'll be good if we have an entirely new one.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, that way we can take a little break. We've never done this before. Multiple streams in 1 second. Multiple streams in one day, have we? We've done like 7-hour streams.
Yeah.
So yeah, why don't we someone says Brad is going to serenade us with that keyboard.
Oh, thank you, everyone. And yeah, maybe one day I need to set it up so if I do something on here, it plays into the stream. But
yeah,
I feel like that's doable.
Yeah, definitely.
Then if someone like has a faux pas or something, then I could be like womp 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 womp.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 1 second. I'm just
Oh wow.
What?
The Pokwere in the chat recognized what that is.
Wow, where? Oh, it's not a super chat. I see. Yeah. Where is that?
Yeah.
Someone wrote, Katie, I think you are wrong. I'm wrong about the time change. Wait, what? Someone wrote, Katie, I think you are wrong. Is that about like my life in general, or?
I think it was just a general statement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious why.
Well, it doesn't matter. That's why it's general. It applies to everything.
Right. Yeah. GRMA. What does GRMA mean? Oh, is that like a time zone? No. Global Retailer Manufacturer Alliance. I don't think it's that. Yeah. Okay.
I had looked it up, and it was if we're talking about the time zones, it's a 7-hour.
Right. Difference. Okay. So 8 p.m. That would be 1. Okay. So what are we thinking? New stream? In like half an hour?
Oh, and look, New York Varsity Sports, just generally speaking, I think you're right.
Yeah, exactly. I am curious which would do better numbers, like a new stream or staying on this one. Although I think if we don't have stuff to really talk about in the half hour,
wait a minute.
Experiment. What?
See, this person, perhaps.
Do they have? Daylight. Well, why don't we do a live one? Let's see. Current time.
Well, what part of Greece are we talking about?
Oh, it's actually a ship. Current time in Greece. I don't think it changes. Current time in Greece is 7:34.
Yeah. So I mean, unless there are parts of Greece that are in a different time zone, the only other explanation I can think of why someone would think that it's 6 hours would be something to do with daylight savings time.
Right. Yeah.
But currently, the official time, when you look it up online, it appears as though it's 7 hours ahead.
Right. Okay. Let's see. We may be getting some. How long was that?
Yeah, that's just my general expression. Says Bradley looks confused.
Oh no, that's not nice. Well, guys, I think we're definitely going to bring on some more guests. let's see. Sorry. I have to apologize. I'm so tired today. It was a long week. Do movie criticism. Oh yeah, we can do you want to do an AMA? We can do like a kosher, like PG AMA where we get to obviously veto stuff. Okay, this I'll have to ask Professor Marandi another time. Here's reading some super chats. Professor Marandi, how has Marxism-Leninism influenced Iranian revolutionary thought? So that was actually asked after he was gone from the chat, from the stream. Ellie TSB writes, many thanks to you both. Example, Lego videos are great, except when they show our soldiers running away or getting hurt. Dismantle the Zionist colonies, USA, UK, Israel. Okay, yes. Super sticker from Elliot ZP. Thank you so much. Another super sticker from Elliot. Oh, and you know what I could, and also Elliot is the person who said many thanks to you both. You know what we could do is we could, let's go for Sunday. Okay. What we could do is we could welcome our recent Patreons. I'll tell you who we're bringing on, by the way. Shola, who's amazing. She is Dr. Shola Mos Shugbamimu. Sorry about that. Shugbamimu. She is based in London and she is an author and she's an activist. She's not joining yet, but she's joining in a couple of minutes, I think in 10 minutes, because she's going to talk about what is now happening in London. She does great videos on Instagram. You may have seen her. She's constantly does like that with her finger, like, yes, right? Yeah. And then we're also going to have, we're going to try to have on Margaret Connolly, who is on the flotilla right now. And she is a doctor, so she's working as a medic. She also happens to be the sister of the president of Ireland. NBD, wow. Yeah. And the wife of Declan Bree, who we've had on in some Patreon videos, and then I released it because we were in. He's a former mayor of Sligo, and he was like driving us to the train station, and he gave us a nice little chat that was on our Patreons about the connection between Ireland and Palestine. So yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, very, very, very cool. Yeah, we definitely need to bring on some of our British guests. I think we're going to do like a cool like Jewish response to the Jewish anti-Semitic stabbing, and the obviously we'll have on Palestinian guests too. Based in London. I'm trying to put on a cool panel. That'll be great. What else can we talk about? So Shola,
it was interesting.
What?
This is a little separate, but just something to talk about. That my dad called me a few days ago, and he had said that he was like, I was listening to the program about the guy who was talking about JFK. And I was like, oh, you mean Ken McCarthy? And he was like, yeah. And he's like, usually I kind of skip around these episodes, but this one I listened to the entire way through.
And Wally Rashid.
And Wally Rashid. Yeah. And but he's like, is what they were saying real? Like, is that accurate? And I guess regarding like potentially, it's hard not to draw some connections with some of the objective receipts that are there, that there are mentions of Israel and things like that in connection with the assassination of JFK. And I said, I'm like, I obviously can't say for certain, but I don't think that the guests that come on here, maybe they would speculate just if we were talking at a bar or something like that, but I don't think they're the type of people that would come on this program and speak about things unless that there was receipts to back it up.
Right.
And yeah.
And Wally Rashid also.
Yes. But just and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you remember, Katie, but I feel like in some of the most recent, in the past few years, unredacted files related to JFK, some of those redactions, it turns out when they like removed the redaction, turns out it was just to remove a mention to Israel.
Right.
And
Exactly,
and so we were just talking about how, you know, my understanding is JFK had wanted to, there's like a foreign, I'm not going to get this correct, but like if you represent a foreign country, you have to declare that, you have to make that known. Yeah. Whereas, but except for someone in the Israeli government, that's the only exception. And my understanding was like JFK had wanted to make it so that they did have to do what every other country has to do. And yeah, it was just an interesting conversation that I had, because it's not terribly often that I'll speak with my dad and in real time he'll be like, boy, this flies in the face of everything that I've been taught my entire life, and like sound like he's open to re-examining those sorts of things. Usually it's a much harder and slower chipping away at that boulder. But yeah, it seemed like him listening to that conversation.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow. We could play a preview of it, because some of that is that's Patreon. Some of it is Patreon, but we will be releasing it shortly. Brad, can you entertain the chat for like 5 minutes?
Well,
you can play videos if you want to play like a video.
I know how to juggle, Katie, but I don't have anything to juggle.
Hold on 1 second. Let me try it. Maybe we can play some Shola videos. Actually, that would be great. Here.
And just to clarify, by Caroline in the chat who commented, JFK was assassinated by the lobby, ? I'm not saying that definitively. I'm just saying there appears to be plenty of actual government receipts that draw certain connections, and it's just very strange how it seems to me, as my dad put it, he's like, if this was a reference to like any other country, you would think that would draw some scrutiny, and why did it not do that here? And it was like redacted and things like that. And I said, well, it seems like it's just one of an endless list of the Israeli government literally being like the one exception to, you know, international law or ceasefires or accountability. It's just another instance of, so I'm not saying that is actually like that's what happened. I'm just saying it's certainly within the realm of possibility that there was some involvement there in some way, shape, or form, and it's just strange how that was kind of pushed aside and not allowed to be examined according to what they were discussing.
Right. I'm going to show you something to play.
And I know that this is going to make me sound, to the people, to a person who would already think this way, me saying this is not going to make it any better. But to John Z. Bay, the comment of crazy conspiracy theory and maybe a little anti-Semitic. Interesting note, the term conspiracy theory did not have the negative connotations that it has today until after the JFK assassination. Prior to that, it was a perfectly legitimate term. And it wasn't until after JFK was assassinated that it was turned into like synonymous with loony person, crazy, tinfoil hat. That's when it became like that. And I don't think that there's much anti-Semitic about it. It's kind of just objective reality, like references to the government are in these US government records.
You can't, exactly. I mean, I think that like we've seen things about I think the closest thing that we see to anti-Semitism when it comes to Israel is when people act like there are only Jewish Zionists when there are more Christian Zionists than Jewish Zionists. But I don't think, talking about the role of Israel does stuff. Israel, you can't like just cry anti-Semitism.
It reminds me kind of like you were talking about previously, the reason for having these illegal land sales in synagogues is surely on purpose, so that when people undoubtedly come out and are upset about that, they can then cry, why these are anti-Semites, because they're protesting in front of a synagogue instead of like the Javits Center. Why don't they have it at the Javits Center?
Right. So Brad, I need 1 minute. We are bringing on Shola. I'm so excited about this. And and what you can do is you can just play I just sent you some videos. Katie's husband is much older than her. That's interesting. Let me know who my husband is, but to the extent that this is funny. I'm I don't want to reveal anything about my personal life, but I'm not officially married, and whoever it is not older than me. To the extent that there is anyone. How do you like that? Okay, let me just send you one more. And you can actually maybe hold on 1 second. Guys, this is so exciting. I love these daytime streams, and we're just going to keep adding more and more. You know who I have to have on is Richard Wolff. Someone was talking about.
I love Richard Wolff.
Yeah, he's great.
He's so great.
Yeah.
There's not many people that can speak about the stuff that he speaks to in a way that quote unquote regular people like myself can digest and understand.
Right. Plus, he's so passionate about things. It's really entertaining to just watch him.
In some ways, he reminds me of Bernie in that, you can look up videos of him from 20, 30 years ago, and he's been on the same, preaching the same stuff. And not because he's got nothing else to talk about. Like Bernie would say, hey, the minute that these stop being problems, I will stop talking about it.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't stop talking about, let us know when there's health insurance. Medicare for all, then you can stop.
I will stop repeating myself.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to, Brad, I just sent you a bunch of videos. Can you play those? And guys, you are not going to want to go anywhere because you're definitely going to want to hear Shola. Okay. I'll be right back. I'm going to remove myself.
Okay. All right. So let's play a video of, and again, I really apologize, Shola. Hopefully you will be able to correct me shortly, but Dr. Mos Shagbamimu, Shola. Here is a video of her, and just reading to see what I could tell you. Well, rather than that, why don't we just find out together what she's going to be saying here. Here we go.
Our message to Iran, or to any other country that might seek to foment violence, hatred, or division in society is that it will not be tolerated. Okay. That is why we're fast-tracking legislation to tackle these malign threats.
Malign. Iran this, Iran that, malign actors. Am I the only one going, what the hell are these politicians pushing? Iran is behind all the anti-Semitic attacks. We think they're linked to Iran. Why do they keep doing that? Because if they're any malign, bad faith actors against British Jews, I would think that the call is coming from inside the house. And at the very top of that list should be, yeah, you guessed it, Israel. Last time I checked, Iran is busy fighting the war for its survival. Riddle me this. Why would Iran, home to one of the oldest Jewish communities on God's earth, dating back to 2,700 years ago, during the Babylonian captivity? Yeah, that one. Why would Iran come all the way to Golders Green, to Manchester, to attack British Jews when it's got thousands of Iranian Jews living in its country? No, hold up. Why would Iran attack synagogues in Britain when it's got hundreds of synagogues in Iran that are even older and have more historic symbolism than the synagogues in Britain? I'm trying to comprehend what this fool is trying to sell me. Because I'm just thinking that even if Iran did not want to harm its own Jews and its own synagogues, Israel is just there. You know what I mean? Israel is just right there. Why travel all the way, even using proxies, to the United Kingdom. And somehow, Iran just knew that those 4 Jewish ambulances were empty and were about to be replaced. So Iran telepathically instructed a mentally ill black man to go stab 2 innocent Jewish men and to stab a Muslim one beforehand. And then instructed its proxies to go attack a building that's a synagogue, even though everybody knows that building is actually a mosque and hasn't been a synagogue for decades. But you know who has been bombing synagogues? Yeah, you guessed it, Israel. You know who has killed Jews? You guessed it, Israel. That's right. Just like they did on October 7th with the Hannibal Directive, where they killed more than half of the Israeli civilians. That's right. Why aren't they talking about the biggest elephant in the room? That Israel is the biggest instigator of anti-Semitism against Jewish people on God's earth. Nah, I'm not buying it. You see, Iran has a lot of sins, including violence. But you know what? Stupid isn't one of its sins. Because you see, the insect that eats the vegetable lives inside the vegetable.
Okay. Yeah.
Inject that directly into my veins, please.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Let's also show, well, once we bring Shola on, who is ready, then we can show her video about the greens. That's great. And Zach Polanski. Okay. So without further ado, I'm so excited to bring our next guest on, Shola, Dr. Shola, Shola Mas Shagbamimu. I hope I'm getting that right. Shagbamimu. She is a writer, an author, an activist, a speaker, and a social media star who has been speaking out against the genocide and many more sins of the West. So welcome, Shola.
Hey!
So excited to have you on. I feel bad because you asked me to come on and I just couldn't, and now I'm stealing you to come on my show. But I will do your show as soon as the next time you ask me. I was just doing.
Amen to that. Amen. It's good to be on your show, Katie. Honestly, the best introduction would have just been Dr. Shola Moshogbamimu, the troublemaker.
Okay,
that should sum it all up. Right.
Yeah, that would have been great. So how are you doing, troublemaker?
I'm good. I mean, it's been one of those weeks that I can't for the life of me understand what the hell is going on with the world.
Yeah.
But we are surviving and we keep putting one foot in front of the other. I mean, look at us in the UK with our local elections.
Yes, please tell us about what just happened.
Exactly. Katie, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, what did just happen? Yeah.
So we've got these, the main parties are the Labour Party and the Conservative Party.
Right.
And the Conservative Party is led by a Black British woman who has identified herself as I is no longer Nigerian. Her name is Kemi Badenoch, but we like to call her Kemi Not Bad Enough because literally there is no bottom too low for this woman to go.
Right.
And the Labour Party is led by Sir Keir Starmer. Please, the guy is a kid starver, political prostitute, chicken liver coward of the worst kind. But anyway, he is the leader of the Labour Party, and the Labour Party is the government. And then you've got Reform. Reform is literally like an ex-Tory party, so Conservatives are Tories.
Right.
Nigel Farage, this outright racist, who is the billionaire, representative in politics. And in the local elections, his party is leading. Of course, we've got the Green Party.
And that party is Reform, right?
Right. So Nigel Farage's party is Reform. Reform what? Ask what they want to. What are you reforming?
Yeah.
They have no intention of reforming poverty because it's in best interest of his donors not to do that. I mean, they just found out that he got £5 million from a donor, $5 million as a gift to a politician. Don't even get me started. And then we also have in the Green Party, we've got Zach Polanski. We like Zach. He's a good one. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's ready. He's seasoned. We like it. He's got all the pepper, all the right seasoning. Perfect. He's doing well. And under his leadership, the Green Party has gained a lot of momentum, which is great to see. And so of course, I voted for the Green Party in this local election because I have zero interest in this nonsense about when you only have a 2-tier party system, you can really only vote for the major party. Kiss my roll, black chuddy. That's BS. If none of us vote for the main parties, they will no longer be main parties. I mean, 1 + 1 = 2. I don't understand why this is rocket science. Anyway, you're getting me to rant, and I shouldn't be ranting.
No, this is great.
So I'm just thinking, so today we find out that reform is leading in the local elections. So the local elections is basically British citizens deciding which political parties would run the council. So the councils run each borough. So like you have, in New York, you've got boroughs, you've got your city. So you have a political party that kind of runs it. And reform took a lot of parties from the Conservative Party, took a lot of councils from the Conservative Party and from Labour. Labour lost a lot. I mean, Keir Starmer was involved in a recent scandal. I don't know if you heard about it, but this is to do with who he appointed as the UK ambassador to the United States, Peter Mandelson, right? And he selected Peter Mandelson because Peter Mandelson would be perfect for Donald Trump, that kind of club. And of course, Peter Mandelson was best mates with Epstein.
Right. Okay, yes. Now I do know about what you're talking about. Yeah, right. Yes, of course.
He lied to his teeth, saying, he didn't know anything. Bullshit. The guy knew stuff. It now came out how much he knew. Keir Starmer came to Parliament saying, I was misled. If only I'd known. We're like, did you think of asking questions? Keir Starmer is a seasoned lawyer. He's meant to be like a human rights lawyer. Why would you pick somebody? Why would you select somebody who's been kicked out of the Labour Party at least twice? Again, people, common sense is not common, but why would you do that? So he got into a lot of trouble for that. And people thought maybe after this huge loss during the local council elections that he'll be kicked out. But it looks like the Labour Party is going, well, we will see. All I'm going to say to every British citizen out there, you don't need to wait to see, because if the Labour Party can't kick out a useless leader, then it's not the right party for you. The Conservative Party is absolutely, don't even get me started on Kemi Badenoch. Don't get me started on that woman. I mean, the latest thing she did was, the recent spate of anti-Semitic attacks. They've also been Islamophobic attacks against Muslims. In fact, a whole lot more. But you don't hear about it. But this last one was a mentally ill Black man had stabbed 2 innocent Jewish men in Golders Green. Now, the interesting thing is he had stabbed a Muslim man.
Exactly.
Media, government, no politicians. Nobody's talking about the Muslim man, because who cares about Muslims? All these politicians went round to Golders Green for their photo ops to show that they stand with the Jewish community. What's his name? Keir Starmer did a Cobra meeting. Cobra meeting is like high level, like terrorism. And Met Police came out to say, yes, this is it's an emergency, national crisis. Kemi Badenoch was like, we must stand by our Jewish community. It's only about the Jews. And we're like, hold up a second. What about the Muslim man? What about the Muslim community? What about all of the mosques that have been attacked? There was a Muslim woman wearing a hijab who was run over by a car just a month ago. Nothing.
Right.
Honestly, it's too much.
Well, because it doesn't fit the narrative that this is an anti-Semitic attack if 1/3 of the people attacked was not Jewish.
I know. But how else are they going to sell this national crisis? This anti-Semitism is on the rise. I think the reality here, Katie, is we can all see what they're planning to do. They're weaponizing anti-Semitism to censor any opposition to Israel. Because when you listen to all the Zionist Jews and I tell you something, UK, we've got it down to a T. The moment something happens to Israel or Jewish people in the UK, it's Zionist Jews, not anti-Zionist Jews. They parade Zionist Jews on our TV screens, on our radio stations to tell us how they feel. All we hear about is how they feel. Nobody asks Muslims how they feel. Nobody asks anybody else. And so they came out and said, it is because of the protest marches. Those protest marches are hate marches. And if people were not out there doing that, then this wouldn't have happened. We're like, how are you drawing a causal link from a mentally ill Black man who has a history of stabbing people, including white police officers, and Katie gets this, a police dog, okay? So why would you now weaponize that to violate my rights to protest a genocide? Like, what the hell's wrong with you people?
Not to mention that when Jews show up to those protests that are allegedly anti-Semitic or self-loathing, you know, and Jews like me get called self-loathing. I'm like, ironically, and this isn't why we do it because we are opposed genocide, but that is the best PR for Jews when people see that not all Jews support this, right?
Exactly.
I'm like, you're the ones who are putting us in danger. You, Mr. or Mrs. Zionist, Israel supporting Jew. Like, you think that if you cared about Jewish safety, you wouldn't be doing that. But as I know that you just talked to someone about this recently, but you know, Zionists need anti-Semitism. So it's a double win for them because they get to shield Israel from any criticism, and they get to create the thing that they get to point to for their justification. Shola, I wanted to show a video and by the way, this is the woman who, because I think this is the conservative.
Yes, not bad enough. Is not Nigeria. Yeah. I no longer identify as Nigeria. Nigeria doesn't want you. Be going.
Right.
Nonsense, woman.
Yeah, you're gonna give her away in a draft. Let's see. So let's play this video about the attack on Zach Polanski. Zach Polanski is speaking of Jews who aren't the right type of Jews. This is Zach Polanski, a video you made about Zach Polanski, who is the head of the Greens. Yeah. And they did make major inroads, right? They did better.
They did. I think they did really well. And in fact, they had their first mayor of Hackney is a Green Party candidate, which is fantastic. And the deputy mayor is a Green Party candidate.
Oh, great. There you go. Okay. So
I think the party is doing really well under him.
Great. Okay, so let's take a look at this video that you made about him.
Yep, the Zionists are coming for Zach Polanski the same way they went for Jeremy Corbyn. The same way they tried to delegitimize and discredit Jeremy Corbyn, calling him all kinds of slurs, accusing him of anti-Semitism is what they're doing to Zach Polanski. This right here is an anti-Semitic caricature drawing of Zach Polanski, the Jewish political leader of a British political party today. And why are they doing that? Because they're afraid of this guy. They're afraid of the momentum and movement behind him. They're afraid of him. So you know what? The Zionists have decided to let the world know that Zach Polanski is the wrong kind of Jew. The same way white supremacists tortured, persecuted, and killed white people who worked with black people for civil rights, and also killed and persecuted white Jewish people who worked alongside black people for civil rights, is what the Zionists are doing. It's rinse and freaking repeat. This is in the Times. This anti-Semitic caricature is in the Times. The Times. Not in some raggedy ass tabloid paper. So you know they have come for this guy because his existence, his politics, his humanity, his sense of justice is exactly what goes against Zionism. There is no difference between this 2026 anti-Semitic caricature of a Jewish man and this 1930s Nazi caricature of a Jewish man. Same modus operandi. But you know what cracks me up? It's the hypocrisy of the Zionists. Because remember the Resident Evil of Palestine? How the Zionists screamed anti-Semitism because of this actual picture of an evil Israeli settler. This is what he looks like. I mean, he looks like him too. This is what he looks like. But now they have no smoke to give when a Jewish man, when Zach Polanski, a Jewish man, is being portrayed in one of the oldest tropes that, Jewish people experience. They have nothing to say about it because they approve that message, because they want Zach Polanski out. The reason they want him out is because he's not the wrong kind of Jew. He's the right kind of Jew. He is representing what Judaism really is. That is centering humanity. He's calling out genocide. He's condemning Israel. He's saying hell to the frick no, not on my watch, and you're not weaponizing the Jewish identity. He's doing all of the things you expect a Jewish person to do, a political leader to do, and quite frankly, a human being to portray. And that is why they hate him. Well, that's the reason we like him. And I say, vote green.
Yay. That was amazing. Now, 1 second. Sorry, this is a little housekeeping thing. Brad, I just WhatsApped you and our next guest. Do you mind responding to that and setting her up with the info for today's stream? Okay, awesome. We're going to have someone who is on the flotilla, which I'm very excited about. So, yes. Shola, that was an amazing video, and you laid out everything perfectly, as always. The wrong kind of Jew. you know, I actually want to show, you showed some very you showed some good images of that. I want to show like a compilation of what they posted about, I mean, as you referred to, the things that they posted of Zach Polanski. So hold on one second. And again, as you pointed out, these are people who, you know, share, accuse so many others of being anti-Semitic, images of being anti-Semitic. So here, okay, here is the British media, which spent years going after Jeremy Corbyn as an anti-Semite. And now I guess this guy who's Jewish, they have to pretend that he's a self-loathing. Look at these images.
Yeah.
It's interesting that no one calls these anti-Semitic, these caricatures.
And it's intentional.
Look at this one.
I know. It is intentional. It's mind-blowing the level of hypocrisy and double standards that Zionists display every single day. And we're meant to just take it.
Yeah. It's almost as if it's not actually about anti-Semitism, but it's just a weaponization of it, right?
Exactly. The world is finally opening its eyes. I know it took me a long time because before October 2023, Zionism wasn't a word in my vocabulary. I had no idea what it was. You know what it is, but Zionists taught me. I was given an in-class session for almost 3 years. I know what it is now, and I am unequivocally, unapologetically anti-Zionist. I mean, there's just no way. And it's so, I think it's so important that people apply critical thought and not join this bandwagon of conflating Jewish people with Zionism or Judaism with Zionism, because it is a fact now that Zionism has jack all to do with the Jewish faith, nothing to do with Jewish identity, even though, yeah, there are many Jews that come out in this country especially and say, well, most Jewish people are Zionists. I'm like, well, that's your freaking problem. That's like that's like white people coming to tell me, well, most white people are white supremacists. Why should I give a rat's ass if you sign up to an ideology I don't agree with? It has nothing to do with your identity or your faith. But the moment we open our mouths, Katie, to say anything against it, you're an anti-Semite. I mean, look at what they did to Miss Rachel.
Oh, disgusting, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, my video in defense of Miss Rachel, because I was interrogated by the Met Police.
Tell people about this.
I did a video talking about it. They actually questioned me on my video defending Miss Rachel. I'm like,
wait, you defended Miss Rachel and then you got questioned? Hold on, let me look for this video. This is crazy.
I met police. They were like, oh, this video, can you explain what you meant to do here? I had to follow my lawyer's guidance, of course, because I said, I know myself, because the moment I opened my mouth, Miss Rachel had said Palestinian children that it is not anti-Semitic to say Palestinian children should live. And in Britain, they started to accuse her of anti-Semitism. In fact, they accused her of, they said that statement was blood libel. I'm like, utter BS. There's nothing blood libelous about saying that, you know, Israeli Jews are literally murdering children. It can't be a trope if it's fact.
Exactly. Right. Right.
That's the kind of thing we've been dealing with. And so it's just madness. And the fact that our political leaders, they're literally selling this to us. They're trying to sell us this lie every single time, Katie. I can't stomach it. It's too much. It's too much. I can't even take it in small doses anymore. I can't.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. That is insane.
Yeah.
About Rachel, Miss Rachel. I somehow did not know about this. That is really crazy.
And it pulled up a number of tweets. They said, what about this post you made? You know, they questioned me over calling. I had a post whereby an Israeli Jew on a tractor had run over a praying Palestinian man. And I called the Israeli Jew a cold-blooded demon. Why the hell is the Met Police asking me or policing my choice of words? I mean, what else am I supposed to call the man?
I mean, they questioned you about that also?
Exactly, they did.
Okay, so tell us about what happened. How did they arrive at your place? Like, yeah, tell us what happened.
I wasn't arrested, but they asked me to come in for an interview, and so I went. I was there with my lawyer, And he's already given me advice on, what to say, blah, blah, blah. Because I said, the moment I opened this mouth God gave me, he said, for now, let's just no comment their asses, right? So they decided to produce all these tweets. They asked about, there was a tweet that I retweeted. I retweeted a post by Dr. Rame Aladwan, who is an NHS British Palestinian doctor who's been arrested like 5 times for speaking out against Israel's war crimes against her people. Just by that repost, I think the post actually said Zionism is, I think, Jewish supremacy, something like that. And there were other posts. So there was a post where somebody said, a Jewish person had put, in fact, there was a video that showed the devastation of Gaza. And if I'm trying to remember the words, but this Jewish person had written, let the people of Palestine know, basically, that we, the Jews, did this to you and not to do this again. So what I did was I flipped the person's words. Like, let the Jewish people know that the children, and the police is questioning, I'm thinking, why are you questioning me? And not the Jewish person that wrote something that I simply flipped, So there were a number of other posts. I put it there in the video. It's actually pinned on my Instagram. And I thought, and in fact, to tell you, Katie, there are a number of people that I know, activists, that the Met Police have arrested. They've put them on conditional bail over their support of Palestinians. It is ridiculous. The United Kingdom has become like a police state. It's definitely a Zionist state, no doubt about it. I thought we were the United Kingdom of England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. No, apparently we're the United Kingdom of freaking Israel. Nobody sent me that memo.
Right. Wow. I'm just going to your pinned. Okay, here it is. I have your pinned. Let's see. It's going to let me because I'm not logged in on my laptop. Hold on. Let me see. Apologies, everyone. This is one of these cool behind the scenes. I have the video of you and like Eve Barlow. Let's see.
Yeah, yes.
And I have something. Yeah. Okay. Is that it? Is that the video? I'm curious about the other one that you mentioned, but here, let me just show.
So the Eve Barlow one must have been the one that I responded to her accusing Miss Rachel of blood libel.
Great.
And they played the video in the police station. They played the full video. And afterwards, they asked me, so do you have anything to add to that?
Wait, so walk us through what happens. You're at home, the police show up. Like, what happened?
No, they didn't show up. They had already written me to ask me to come for an interview.
Okay. I
was outside. I was actually abroad at the time. So I didn't see this letter until, God knows, maybe a week later. So I agreed a date with them. And I then went with my lawyer. So it's what they call a voluntary interview. And then they started to interrogate me about this post, about that post, and played, my video and went through every post to ask, well, what were you thinking here? And basically, in fact, let me tell you what the grounds for the interview was. They were interrogating me on grounds of inciting racial hatred and sending malicious communications.
Oh my God.
I said, and that's why when they say going through all the tweets, I'm like, what's malicious about me calling a cold-blooded demon a cold-blooded demon? Because why would you run over a Palestinian simply because he's Palestinian? Why he's praying? What is the problem?
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Now I found, by the way, that's insane. And how long was the questioning for?
An hour. I think about an hour or so. Because again, it was interesting to hear what they had and it ended up with them saying, okay, this is now going to be considered and by the Attorney General. Ooh. The Attorney General has nothing better to do with this time.
Wow.
I'm sure she meant, or they meant the Attorney General's office, whatever. Yeah.
That is crazy.
It is. But this is the United Kingdom for you. And it is clear. I mean, the line of questioning, Katie, it's almost as though it was before they started to look at my post, they started questioning me. Well, what do you think about Zionists and Israel? I'm thinking, why the hell is the Met Police asking me about a foreign country? What the hell is your business about a foreign country?
Right.
A foreign country that's got leaders that are wanted for crimes, for war crimes. Now, you and I know that if there was North Korea that was dissing, Russia that was dissing, China was dissing, nobody will be hauling my ass into some police station to ask me any dumbass questions. No one will do that. But somehow, oh my God, don't you know how Jewish people will feel because of what was saying about Israel? I could not give a rat's ass.
Yeah, well, also, why don't you ask how would like Jewish people like Zach Polanski or Katie Halper or Max Blumenthal or Aaron Mate or
exactly. And why in heaven's name? This is one of the issues. They are always centering Zionist Jews in the pain and suffering of Palestinians, and I refuse to do it.
Yeah.
But when they talk about rise of anti-Semitism and they link the rise of anti-Semitism to marches, then I say then there's no rise of anti-Semitism because clearly, one, those marches are not hate marches. Yeah. Two, you are linking it to the marches because you want to stop us from protesting against Israel. And three, you want to center yourself. You tell us not to conflate Jews British Jews with Israel. And here you go conflating yourself every single day.
Right, exactly. And then if you do that, you're anti-Semitic, but they do it all the time. Yeah. Well, here's this video that you made. I want to show about the incident.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Let me just
did this. Let them know the price.
Yeah, I'll
for
start from the
harming
beginning.
Jews.
Okay, 1 second.
So my post flips it. I'm like, Gaza City, may the
Okay, let's go.
I have been interrogated by the Met Police under caution. That's right. Under caution means they read me my rights. You know, you have the right to remain silent and everything else. I was interrogated for allegations of inciting racial hatred and sending malicious offensive communications. I'm sure you're thinking, what malicious communications? More importantly, you're wondering, what the heck is Miss Rachel here? My exact thought. The Met Police interrogated me on this post where I defended Miss Rachel for saying wanting children to live isn't anti-Semitism, and she was accused of blood libel. The Met freaking Police had the time. They played the entire video, and you guys, you know me. I ate and left no freaking crumbs. This is the same Met Police that has not yet found the terrorist that sent me a death threat letter threatening my life and that of my family. The Met Police then interrogated me for calling an evil Israeli settler a cold-blooded demon for running over a praying Palestinian man. I'm sorry, what do you call people who commit evil acts? So somehow the Met Police is now policing my freedom of expression to be pissed off at this evil man for running over an innocent man simply because this innocent man is Palestinian, he's a Muslim, he's brown, he's all of the things that, Zionists do not consider equal. I defended Zora Mamdani, who had said, we have to make clear that when the boot of the NYPD is on your neck, it's been laced by the IDF. He's not wrong because we all know that New York police, American police, is trained by the IDF, right? So this post is simply highlighting the hypocrisy and double standards. That anytime you talk about the IDF, Israel, Zionism, equates to all Jewish people. And you can't say anything without being accused of anti-Semitism. And this really tickled me. They interrogated me over this post, in which a poster writes, Gaza City, may the great-grandchildren of the Palestinians remember that we, the Jews, did this. Let them know the price for harming Jews. So my post flips it. I'm like, Gaza City, may the great-grandchildren of the Palestinians remember that you, the Jews, did this. Let the Jews know the price for harming Palestinians. Amen. And the Met freaking Police questions me. I bet this person who wrote this is not being interrogated by any police in any city in any part of the world, because We know so I'm responding to somebody who is weaponizing the Bundy massacre, as they do. So I go, Zionist Jews commit a Bundy Beach massacre on Palestinian children, women, and men every single day. Where's your outrage? The Met Police is interrogating me over this post. Like, where's the freaking lie? Here, the Met Police is interrogating me on the intention of my post. And I'm thinking, did I write in English or was it in Latin or Swahili? Because the Zionists do not like it when you call them out on their bullshit, okay? So I'd be like, you Zionist Jews are insufferable. They are. Why? Because they intentionally conflate Jews with genocidal acts of Israel and Israelis, then have the Zionists to cry anti-Semitism when they're legitimately held accountable for vile acts they manufacture consent for and cloak with their Jewish identity. This is what the Met Police has time for? And here the Met Police is questioning me because I share a post that points out that a bus was driven through Orthodox Jews in Israel. And I say Zionist Jews are killing Jews. And that Zionism is evil. Where's the freaking lie? Anyway. Now, I bet you're wondering, who could have reported you to the Met Police? Who could have made these false allegations against you? Could it be UK Lawyers for Israel that spent almost 3 years demanding that I be investigated by my regulator? Could it be Campaign Against Anti-Semitism that have accused me in a hit piece by the Daily Mail? They accused me of betraying the Jews and that they're going to write to my universities, client staff, everybody that I'm associated with so they know who I am.
The Met Police know Campaign Against Anti-Semitism, UK Lawyers for Israel weaponize the British justice system to suppress voices against Israel's war crimes.
Now, guys, I don't tend to talk about stuff that I go through, okay? There's so much that happens behind the scenes. But I think it's worth talking about this. Yeah, people, I have been interrogated.
Okay, well, that was wonderful. And Shola, thank you for everything you do. Now, I know that you have a chicken in the oven.
I do.
So thank you for coming on. And it's perfect timing because we are going to bring on Margaret Connolly, who is literally has been on the flotilla. She's a doctor. And I'm really excited to get a report from her. But Shola, thank you so much and come back soon. And we will add you also to the description because you were surprised, as is our next guest. Okay. Have a great night, Shola.
You too.
Bye. Okay, that was wonderful. Now we are bringing on to our marathon stream the wonderful Margaret Connolly. Hi, Margaret. How are you?
How you doing, Kate?
Good. Good. How are you? Tell us where you are right now and what you are doing and what has been happening.
Okay, a little bit of stress there trying to get through to you on the computer because I'm a paper doctor. So Louise came to my aid. So tell Brad to skip all the F words that went on in the background.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we didn't record them. So.
No, I am on the Blue Toys Flotilla. As you know, Katie, I'm a GP, a general practitioner in Sligo. I came on the flotilla as a mark of respect and a mark of solidarity to the Palestinian people. I am 67 years of age. I have 3 grown-up children, and I've been politically active most of my life. As you know, I come from a large family, 14 children, and probably class consciousness comes in at a very early age when you come from a so-called area that is a corporation, a state attached to it. So all my life I've been political. I'm married to Declan Bree in the last 2 years, but we lived together 40 years. And as you know, we have been involved in the anti-apartheid, and the Palestinian cause is so close to the South African cause. As Nelson Mandela said, unless the Palestinians are free, nobody is free. Their humanity is our humanity. And I have joined the flotilla, the biggest global Samud flotilla to sail to Gaza, this one. We intend to try and break and open a humanitarian corridor to bring much needed food, fuel and aid to the Palestinians. We may not succeed but it is a huge mark of solidarity with them. Unfortunately, last week, the Israeli forces traveled over 1,000 kilometers outside their borders to kidnap and abduct 174 of our activists, completely normal, regular, peaceful human beings. They destroyed or incapacitated over 22 of our boats, but the rest of us have pressed on. We have been at anchorage for the last 5-6 days because of a very heavy storm. I'm not really allowed to say where we are at the moment, but we are in national waters heading towards the Gaza coast, but may stop along the way. I am even more saddened, in despair and infuriated at the international community, our so-called bloody international community, tolerating with impunity the ignorant, vicious regime that is apartheid Israel. They are not fit to sit in the United Nations. They should be barred from the United Nations. I call on our Irish government to stop the US military using our airspace and using Shannon Airport to disembark. They have had at least 8,000 military transferred across Irish airspace, and we know, because the Dáil said at our government, the answer to questions, 8,000 troops. If there's 8,000 troops, there's a lot more on those planes than they're letting on. We are a neutral country. We should not let military transverse our country to drop bombs on other countries. It's shameful, and Micheál Martin has brought shame on us all by transgressing our neutrality. We call for an immediate enactment of the Occupied Territories Bill to bar all sales of goods from the occupied territories. Everything that is produced in the occupied territories should be barred, with the full aim to completely disconnect from all economic ties with Israel. We should disconnect from all sporting ties, all musical ties, everything. All our universities should cease all contact with Israel. It is even worse than apartheid South Africa, which was a bloody nightmare, but the Israeli racist Zionist regime is even worse. We cannot and must not turn our faces away. And as you know, Katie, the Irish people have had 800 years of colonization by the English crown. We lost 1.5 million people with the famine in 1845, and we have produced over 10 million refugees that have left our shores to seek a better life elsewhere from 1845 on. We have an intimate knowledge of pain, despair, dislocation, dispossession, you name it. Probably ethnic cleansing would have definitely covered the term, but they said it was our fault that the potato famine failed. Well, guess what? Ethnic cleansing and genocide is being enacted by the Israeli regime with the full backing of America, who provides nearly 95% of armaments to Israel. US and Germany provide that much. Italy, France, and England have also been guilty of providing components. And I know Ireland has also been involved with the economics of the EU, so we are also caught up on this. I say shame on our government that they are not calling out this genocide. The history speaks the truth, as Norman Finkelstein says. The Israelis know well what they have done. They have recorded all their destruction going back to 1948 and before. Every single little village that has been annihilated, they know what they have done. They bloody know. 1948, 80% of the land had disappeared from the Palestinians. By 1967, after the Six-Day War, they had taken over 95%. How in God's name is that a just society? How do we allow this to happen? And I, for one, am very happy to be on this flotilla, no matter what happens, because I'll be able to look whatever is in the universe when I die and say, I tried to do my best. I do not want to be afraid of an Israeli regime coming to kidnap and abduct me as an Irish citizen. I have a right to be in this flotilla, and so have all my comrades. They have no right to do what they have done, and they are complicit, the European governments, in helping Israel get away with this. They could not have brought us to shore and travel on a bus up to Heraklion airport without some involvement of the Greek parliament, I'm sorry to say. But it is happening all the time.
And so
going on. Yeah.
No, this is amazing. So what happened to you, and what has happened to Tiago and Saif, the two organizers who are currently in prison right now?
When I went on the 601 News in Dublin, my first thing to say was, our hearts go out to Tiago and Saif. Tiago actually came to my boat to offer comfort to me that I would be minded, seen. Not that I was special, but you know the situation. Saif, I didn't know, but my friends and comrades have known. This ship right beside us was boarded. We were sure we were going to be boarded. We were 10 meters from them. We had the protocol in place. We set up on the dock of the ship, and we waited our turn. And when they didn't come, we just took off, and luckily we got to the safety of Crete. But we know for sure that the two boys have been abducted, kidnapped, and the Palestinian land maybe has suffered probably many beatings and torture, and possibly may never be seen again. And we say, for Jesus Christ's sake, if he's up there, what is this about? Those two comrades were on this ship to bring aid to Gaza. Israel has put an illegal blockade. An open concentration camp exists in Gaza for 18 years. How is this possible in the 21st century? They are live streaming their genocide. How ignorant, debased, dehumanized these soldiers have become, that they think it's funny to do this. I say to them, I pity your children that have inherited your traits and will pass it on to their children, because you cannot see the humanity in others. You have debased yourself before the world, and they are allowed to get away with it. I was thinking all day today, what would I say? I think the Israeli state should be dismantled. Let the Palestinians sit at a table with them. Let there be a truth commission, and give back at least 50 or 60% of the land to the Palestinians, who have always been there, are the indigenous people, have the keys to their farms. Let the Israelis go looking under 20 tons of rubble to find the houses and homes they have destroyed, and let them hang their faces in shame, because they should be ashamed. Wow. It may take generations for them to show grief, but we cannot absolutely allow this regime to continue. And the Americans handing bombs over and then handing Easter eggs out on the lawn on Easter Sunday is absolutely revolting to me. They had gone in and dropped bombs on a school in Iran, Kate, on the 28th of February. And that Mr. Trump dares to hand out Easter eggs to children 2 weeks later for Easter. How sick is he, and how sick is the clique of rich, bloody cabal of men that have control over the whole world, while 60% live in poverty. Everywhere the white man has gone has brought, I think, pestilence and evil and destruction. I cannot think of a single continent that the white man has gone to that they have not brought evil, destruction, murder, and death. How dare we tell the Arabs how to live their lives? Withdraw your military bases, Mr. Trump, from the East and from every part of the world where you do not belong. Put cultural bases there at the will of the locals, but withdraw your bloody soldiers and all your military bases. How dare you think you are the policemen of the world? You are so ignorant and so cruel and so violent you cannot even see it. But you need to put a camp around your country and not be allowed outside your border, because all you have done is brought destruction to the world. And how dare you do this to the Palestinians who actually helped the Jews when they came in the 20s and 30s and offered them food and drink and land until they realized they were being taken for a joke, and the Zionist regime had already plotted and planned what they were going to do. Why didn't they take the state of Bavaria, clear it out after the war, hand it over to the Jews and say, we're so sorry for wiping you out? Why should they get away with handing over the Palestinian state?
Exactly.
And
what did they have to do with
in
it?
Ireland, we know this in Ireland. Our hearts beat with the Palestinian more than any other country. We have had 800 years of colonization. They stole our language, they stole our tongue, they stole our souls, and they sold us into slavery. How dare the Americans, the Germans, and the Europeans do this to the Palestinians? It is utterly sickening.
Well, people are really inspired by your words, Dr. Connolly, as am I. I wanted to ask you what it was like when you saw the kidnapping, and also if you've been doing anything as a medic. Have you been able to attend anyone's wounds, or were you not even given access to the people who have been hurt so far?
I'm just a medic for this boat, Katie, and I'm sorry if I'm shouting. I hope it doesn't come across, but actually the sweat is pouring off me right now with the passion that I feel for actually. Kate, I'll tell your listeners, a little baby bird landed on the bow of the ship at about 9 o'clock that night. I come from a family of 14. We didn't have much time for animals, but this little baby bird landed beside my leg, and we covered it with a blanket, and it stayed there for nearly 2 hours. It was surreal. Louise, who's our organizer on the boat, said, is that a message from somebody in another world? And I thought, well, it's from my father telling me not to be afraid, and from my 5 siblings that I have lost. So the little bird stayed with us. We waited for the family, and it put into my mind all the hundreds and thousands of orphans in Palestine that lack a loving mother's arms after so many being slaughtered. I grew up myself without a mom. She died when I was 6. I'm not even comparing my loss to the Palestinian children, but the trauma they have suffered with watching their families being slaughtered and bombed and murdered and burnt to death is disgraceful. I had to go downstairs when we saw the drones coming and the warship coming at us. We were up on bow, so we saw this huge light coming. So my job was to go downstairs, get dressed, put on warm clothing, and get the medical bag. So when I did that, Kate, it turned out I missed the interception on the boat neighbouring us, but my crew members absolutely videoed it all. It is for real. This is not a video game. 12 to 13 huge men in huge helmets and all in black with laser guns. One of the guys said that was an automatic. They can laser and show and kill anyone on the boats. 2 ribs came at the small boat beside us. We sort of drifted away, so we didn't see what happened in the end. And I didn't offer help because I'm only the medic on my boat. But we knew that the other boat was in trouble. It wasn't Saif and Tiago, but they caught 22 boats that night, 174 activists. And I know some of them were violently treated, as were Saif and Tiago. I think their comrades tried to protect them, and hence there was back and forth, and there was broken ribs and broken noses. But I did not personally see this because I was down in the hold getting the medicine bag together and hoping that the Israeli forces would allow me bring my bag with my medicines for my comrades should we be arrested.
Wow. And Dr. Connolly, your sister please
call me Margaret.
Margaret. Okay, Margaret. And I've been blessed by being able to spend time with Margaret and Declan. Oh, and I wish I'll next time we speak, I'll wear that necklace that you got
from
me
Sligo.
From Sligo, yeah, which we loved. Yeah. Your sister is the president. Oh, sorry. No, that's not.
She is the president.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I just don't. I'm here in my own right, Katie. I'm not here as the president's sister, but she is the president of Ireland, and she speaks out clearly for the Palestinian cause.
Right. Yes, she's actually called it genocide.
Absolutely. What other word could you call it, Katie? Right. She's speaking the truth. She is not afraid to speak the truth. The president speaks the truth.
Nice. Yeah. And So do you think, is that something that you were raised with, both of you, this sense of truth and commitment to justice? Did your parents did your dad ever talk about Palestine when you were growing up?
I think justice starts in your home, Kate. And when you grow up with not having very much, you bloody learn to share. You learn not to tell lies. My father was very Christian, probably very religious, but he was also very loving. And the main thing we learned was not to look down on others. There's a saying, there for the grace of God go I. Right. We learned to share at a very early age. We had to help each other. My sisters had to mind us when my mum died. It was just a sense of absolute honesty. My father was a small builder. He had to earn money and provide food for the 14 of us. But I never, ever heard him complain or bitch or give out or badmouth somebody else. We just learned to tolerate others. We never looked on others as others. They were just people we didn't know or that we had to get to know. So yes, I would say we came from a very loving home. I'm sure my mother helped all her neighbours, even though she had 14 children. And we all have that huge sense of justice or injustice. We cannot bear it. There's different professions, different jobs in the family. Each and every one of us has stood up for justice, no matter where. We didn't have the Palestinian cause at that stage when we were 4, 5, and 6. But you don't have to read books to know what justice is. You just know you're either being humiliated or shamed or looked down upon. You just have it in your heart. I say to Mr. Trump, you have no heart, no empathy. You could not know what love is. I don't know what they did to destroy you when you were a child, but I'm so bloody glad I had Coleman Connolly as my father and not your father. Because yes, love was taught to us at an early age. So we have love and justice in our DNA. We don't have to read books to learn about this cause or that cause. But of course, the Palestinian cause is the most important cause in the whole world. We cannot get away from this genocide, and we are facilitating in it, and we must stop it. It has to be stopped. I pray that we will not need another flotilla to sail to Gaza. This concentration camp must be disbanded forthwith. They cannot lock 2.2 million people into an area, the fifth of my Sligo County. It is absolutely evil. They must give back the occupied territories, and they must be stopped in their genocide. America could stop the war in the morning and stop the genocide. Cut it. I don't care what hold the Israeli Zionists have over the American government. It is sick, and Irish people are not behind them. Jobs for the Irish people in the tech company do not equate with being held to ransom by Trump because we're afraid to speak the truth. Irish people are behind the Palestinian cause. The demonstrations have shown that again and again and again. If not for them, what about us when they come for us? We must stand up for them. Jim Larkin, our trade union leader, said in 1922, the great only seem to appear great because we are on our knees. Let us rise up.
Wow, that's amazing. And Margaret, as a I'm sure that you have to go, and thank you for your generous time. Just a final question for you is, what is it like for you as a doctor to see what is being done to the people of Gaza and Lebanon, Palestine, Iran?
I want to pull my eyes out, take my ears out, and cut my tongue, Kate. Words could not describe the sickening, horrific feeling that little babies in incubators have their oxygen cut, that the doctors watch the little babies die that they have worked so hard to save, that surgeons and cardiologists and oncologists are murdered and burnt in hospitals trying to save their patients, that paramedics and nurses are killed as they go to help others, that journalists from within are targeted. You're a journalist. There's no journalist allowed into Gaza to witness what is happening. Does that not show the evil that is happening if journalists are not allowed in to show it up? My hat's off. I congratulate the poor journalists that have been murdered and slaughtered. I don't think how the Israelis will ever, ever hold their heads up again and look somebody in the eye and say, I did this. Why don't the recruits just walk away from the army? They will not be assassinated. The worst that could happen is they'll be locked up in jail. Why don't they just refuse to condone this genocide? Why don't they take off all their gear and just look at the Palestinian lad covered in dirt and filth because they're not allowed to have clean water? We're on a little boat. I haven't had a shower in a week. We're blessed to have a little tap bringing in the seawater. The Palestinians in the refugee camps don't even have the cleanliness to wash their hands or wash their children's bums or change their nappies. It is utterly sickening. The figures are staggering, Kate, for the people that have been murdered and slaughtered and amputated and injured. Never mind, it's probably double that figure that lie under the rubble. They say it will take 20 to 30 years to clear the rubble. What have they destroyed? And the last comment, the son-in-law of Trump calling it a piece of real estate. What do they want a piece of real estate in Gaza for? Stay in your own bloody country. All you do is spread pestilence. We do not need holiday resorts. We need the Palestinians to be given back their land. You go in and clear all that rubble and chemicals and toxic stuff that you have put in their land, clean it up for them and put back the olive trees and at least give them back their houses, pay reparations, but stop the bloody genocide because we are sick of what you're getting away with. It is grossly evil. And words fail me, even though you may laugh and say I'm speaking too fast. I want to cut my tongue out because no words can describe the pain that we feel, never mind what they're going through. I have 14 siblings. The idea of a bomb falling on my house, I can't even credit it. I have 2 beautiful daughters and a son. The idea of them being taken out by special forces in the middle of the night, raped, tortured, attacked for being a Palestinian is just, it makes me feel like I want to vomit, Kate, right now, this minute as I talk to you, to be honest.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for everything you do. This is so incredibly moving and important, and you made so many amazing points. And yeah, it's obviously the chat is saying, you know, people are blessing you, thanking you for this, saying that you're speaking for their heart. So we're so appreciative. And yeah, anything else you want to add about what's next for you guys? You probably can't say too much, but
I want Micheál Martin and the Irish government to stand up for the Irish people and all the comrades on this flotilla. It is a humanitarian, peaceful flotilla. We have a right to travel the seas. The Mediterranean is international waters. The bloody Israeli occupying force have no right to come 1,000 kilometers to catch us, to throw drones on us, to look at us, to persecute us, to abduct us, to kidnap, to do what they want. Let us stand up, Micheál Martin, and say this is evil personified. Let there be no more genocide. We do not want it. We have 800 years of colonization. Just think about what we have suffered, and it should stop you supporting the EU and Mr. Trump in this genocide. It is gross. It's beyond words. There's no words left. I hate the English language for the words that they have made us learn for genocide and war and rapine and every other nasty word that white people have brought to people of other colors. It is total racism. It is total war and dominance and greed. Power, the might is right, is not a good way to raise your children. Go back home and learn empathy. And if you can't, at least stay in your home and don't go out marauding and murdering others. You have no right to do this. It is not your world. You do not dominate us. You do not own us. We have fought for our freedom. We have our freedom. Let us stand up for the men and women of 1916 who sacrificed their lives for our freedom. Let us honor them by doing the right thing. It's the least we can do, Katie Halbrecht.
Well, Dr. Margaret Connolly, thank you so much for everything that you do.
Okay, thank you.
And stay safe. And let us, and yeah, please come back on with another update whenever you can.
Thanks, Katie.
Okay. Thanks, Margaret. Wow, that was amazing. What powerful words. it's some people, it's actually very moving and to see how upsetting this is to people. I mean, I try to keep my game face on, right? Because I stream, but if I let myself like sit with the pain, it is unbearable. But it's amazing to see people who use their medical training to do good for the world. And it's also amazing to see people connect their own oppression to the oppression of others. So that was really wonderful. What an amazing show that was today. I got to say, like, great guests, Dr. Marandi, Roqayah, Dr. Shola, and then Dr. Connolly, Margaret Connolly. Brad, is there anything else we need to make sure that we say to people? What a great show, huh? Yeah, it was really amazing. I think that's it. And we will see you definitely Tuesday night. This is, again, why you absolutely have to sign up, subscribe, so you don't miss streams like this. Also, if you haven't already, please do become supporters of the Katie Halper Show. If you can just afford $1 a month, that's $12 a year. You help make the show happen. If you can afford more and you can do the $5 a month level, that's amazing. And you get all of this access to bonus content. Let's see. Next time I'll try to push it so we get people to join during the actual show. But I will just really quickly thank our recent Patreons. And this is why you should definitely join Patreon, because I will read your question. Let's see. Who do we got? We got news. We got thank you, Sar. Thank you. 1 second. How do I see who is hold on. Member. Let me do member. Patreon member. Brad, I think we did read out. I'll read all the super chats that we haven't read. Let's see. So thank you, Sar, for joining. It's usually easy for me to see them. Thank you, Abdulaziz, for joining. Why isn't it coming up? Oh, thank you, Fatima, for joining. Thank you, Barbara, for joining. Thank you, Dennis, for joining. Thank you, Alicias, for joining. And thank you, Dan. Thank you, Ifarazone. Thank you, Suki. And thank you, Katrina. And anything else? Anyone else? I think that's all the ones that the recent ones. Oh, thank you, Paula, and thank you, Sarah. And thank you, Aaron. I think I'd already read that one. That's but yeah, thank you to everyone who's become a Patreon supporter. Please, again, do join our Patreon. Do subscribe. That's free, obviously. You don't want to miss these extra streams, and do like the stream. Let's see. Yes. So here is thank you, Clifford's Boostira, for the super chat. So kind of you. For, thank you, Patrick. Great. Speak it, Brad. You were telling some truth now. And thank you for that. Brad's giving you a thumbs up. Thank you, Pal for Life, for that. And I wish I'll read this to Margaret. Incredible, Dr. Connolly. I hope for your safety. Thank you. And yeah, people were extremely moved by what she was saying. Did I thank Wadeworth earlier? I think I may have skipped that. Thank you, as always, Wadeworth. And yeah, everyone who's giving amazing comments about Margaret. Totally co-sign those. And again, all of our guests. And I think that's it. We will definitely see you Tuesday night, if not before then. Patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show. Again, that's patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show. Subscribe by hitting subscribe and then the bell, and then like the stream if you haven't already liked. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Brad. Bye, everyone.
I did everything right and they indicted me. And I don't know what the I'm doing. Antifa!